speaking out of Akron, Ohio, representing Team Popping the Boys, the headline god, Jeremy Lambert, and his co-host, speaking out of Atlanta, Georgia, representing more than one royal family, the king of indie viewing, Stephen Jensen. And this is the Spotlight on Fightful.
Welcome, everyone, to the Spotlight here on Fightful. I'm Jeremy Lambert. That is Stephen Jensen. It is Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And shout out to Big Turkey Dick MLJ for the
gobble,
intro,
gobble.
as always.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Happy Thanksgiving, Jeremy.
Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Appreciate everyone joining us early here on not only Thursday, but on Thanksgiving. You know, whether people are up early because they are going ahead and get their turkey started, whether they're up early for traveling, whether maybe they're in their car listening to this while they're driving and traveling, however or if it's a day later and you're like, oh, you know, it's the day after Thanksgiving, let me listen. Or later on in the afternoon after you're tired of dealing with family and you are stuffed and full from all your food and you just decide to throw this podcast on and then our sweet sultry voices put you to sleep. I don't care how you consume the content. Just thank you for listening.
Yes.
We appreciate it.
We are thankful on this Thanksgiving for all of you.
Yes, I'm thankful we get to do this show on a Thursday. I know, like, we got plans a little bit later on, but we decided, you know, it's in the morning. We're not really doing anything. My lovely wife is getting stuff ready for later on this afternoon. We're hosting Thanksgiving this year, and by hosting, I mean it's just us, which is completely fine. And so she's getting stuff ready for later on this afternoon. Otherwise, I'm not really doing anything. Jensen, I know you don't have plans until later, so we were like, yeah, we got some time to kill. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, you're downplaying your Thanksgiving though, because I mean you got a bunch of kids and stuff too, though. I mean it's not like it's just you.
12.
Yeah. So you know you got a lot of mouths to feed and probably some kids that might be a little picky as to like, you know, what they do and don't like and stuff like that. Maybe, I don't know. So it might, you know, you're downplaying the importance of what you're doing over there for Thanksgiving. Yeah, for Thanksgiving for me, it's just like me, my dad, my stepmom, my brother. I don't know if like any of my other siblings will be there, but I think it'll just be us today, and we'll just hang out, watch the NFL games, eat a bunch of food, and yeah, I don't have to work my shoot job until Monday, so I'm very happy to have some time off. And there's NFL games tomorrow. There's a bunch of NBA and stuff, right? They got a bunch of NBA games stuff. So
yeah, I know the NBA plays tomorrow. I'm pretty sure there's the Black Friday NFL game, which I think that's new for this year, isn't there?
Yeah, and it's on Amazon, I think. Yeah. Right? Isn't that what they're doing?
Oh yeah, I listened to an interview with like the Amazon head of Amazon streaming or something, because I was seeing if he commented on WWE rights, and he didn't, unfortunately. But it talks about like they're going to be like pitching a bunch of deals to where like, hey, click now to get this Black Friday deal in the middle of the NFL game. So it should be something.
I believe it.
NFL Amazon game tomorrow.
I bet you my Alexa will start going off during it. I'll start getting those. I don't know if anyone else listening to this knows what I'm talking about, but the Alexa, like the bottom of it will turn yellow when you have like notifications or updates or if they're trying to sell you something. And I guarantee you, like during this NFL game, my things would be like flashing yellow the entire. I was one of these people that avoided the smart house situation for like up until about a year or so ago. I finally started dabbling in like Alexa and like automated stuff. I mean, I could literally like my Alexa's in my other room, but I mean, you could say, Alexa, turn all the lights blue. She can't hear me. Alexa, turn all lights blue. See how everything is turned blue.
There it goes. Wow.
So like, I mean, like I have everything automated now. All my lights are automated and can change colors. All my TVs, all my sound systems, everything is just voice controlled through Alexa now. My alarms or I was awakened today by Smash Mouth All Star. That was my alarm tone. So like, yeah. So anyway, it kind of looks kind of cool. You just want to leave it blue for the show?
Leave it blue.
Screw it.
Yeah.
Cool. If anyone gets bothered by it, I can always change it to any color you want. I'll just yell at my Alexa and tell her to change it. And I can do different colors all throughout the room. I can tell this thing to go like Vikings mode and like turn it purple and stuff. It's awesome. Anyways, what do you guys want to talk about today? We got a lot of wrestling topics. I don't even know what we're talking about in today's show. I know we got a lot of AEW, a lot of WWE. As always, we got indie stuff and other stuff, but like,
I mean, we're coming off of Full Gear this past weekend. We've got Survivor Series this upcoming weekend. They announced everything for the Continental Classic. There's plenty to talk about.
So much going on this week.
We're gonna start with Survivor Series, and we're gonna start with Survivor Series because today we are sponsored by our good friends over at Wrestle Rumble. You can head over to Wrestle. How many entries are we giving away, Jensen?
Let's give away. Okay, how about this? We're gonna give away 3 entries.
Okay.
So 3 different people, but they'll get an entry in all 3 of the things that we're promoting. So like they'll get a let me pull the website up real quick. So they have 4 contests going on right now technically, but the other one doesn't actually they don't do their drawing until January for the 4th spot. So for today's show, we'll give 3 people a free entry to the $1,000 cash prize for the War Games Pick'em.
Right now, Survivor Series. Look at this poster. They do good graphics. I don't know who does Matt's graphics.
I don't know who does them anymore, but rest in peace to Brad Pedersen, who used to do them, who actually passed away a couple years ago. He was a really good guy, a guy who did wrestling podcasting as well. And Brad unexpectedly passed away just a couple years ago, but he used to do all the graphics for Wrestle Rumble. I do not know who does them currently.
I mean, we'll pull up some more here as you run through. So yeah, Survivor Series Pick'em, you get an entry into the Survivor Series Pick'em, where first place is $1,000 cash. $1,000 cash, baby.
Yes. You're also going to get a free entry. The same 3 people will also give you a free entry to the Cena Celebration. This is normally they're $1 entries. So anyone who sees this, by the way, if you want to throw in on this, it's not expensive. $1 entries. And you can win a John Cena Legacy Championship belt. So that's pretty awesome. It comes in this the chain gang type of lock chain looking packaging, and this custom championship belt for John Cena. And then we'll also give those same 3 people a free entry to the Madness, which is a live drawing for Randy Savage stuff. So it's going to have the Randy Savage Macho Man Legacy belt, which is badass. Randy Savage, for those of you who don't know, Randy Savage is actually the wrestler who hooked me as a fan to become a wrestling fan when I was a kid. He was my favorite. And I think this stuff's badass. So, I mean, 3 people in this chat are going to get a free entry to possibly win $1,000 for picking Wrestle Rumble, Survivor Series War Games contest. For that, you win $1,000. You might win a Cena Legacy belt, and you might win a Macho Man Legacy belt. The same one person could possibly win all 3. These are 3 different contests. The same person could win 2 belts and $1,000 right now for listening to our show today, which we very much appreciate. So the way to get in the contest is very, very easy. All you have to do is just type the word Wrestle Rumble in the chat. That's all you got to do. At the end of the show, that's it. Just type Wrestle Rumble. At the end of the show, me and Jeremy will put up basically do a random drawing off of a website, and we'll pick 3 names off of that. We'll remind you throughout the show as well as people trickle in. And we have no idea what our live viewership is going to be like today on Thanksgiving. Don't know if people are traveling, people are asleep, people are available. No idea. But anyone who's watching this show live, you got a shot at winning some pretty cool stuff, courtesy of our friends over at WrestleRumble.com.
There you go. Yes, just leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat, everybody. We might do something on Twitter as well. That way,
I'll do some giveaways on Twitter.
Yeah, it opens it up to a broader audience because yes, it is Thanksgiving. So I don't know, it's early on a Thanksgiving day, especially if you're on the West Coast. I imagine you're still sleeping if you are on the West Coast. But hey, look, if only 3 people do it, you know what? You 3 people, you're in. You get it. So
dude, and if only one person did it, I'll give you all 3. If JR Slander is the only person all day who does it, you get all 3.
Look at that.
So there you go.
That.
Yeah, we're giving away 3 to no matter what. We're giving away 3 packages to 3 people. So
I hope JR Slander just tries to hack the chat so nobody else can enter, and it's just yeah, I'm gonna have the only entry into this, so I get all 3 of them.
Yes, Chi-Town Spurs. You got to type it for real, man. You got to type it for real. But yeah, we appreciate everyone who's in here this morning. Happy Thanksgiving. We got some good wrestling stuff to talk about, and thank you once again to WrestleRumble.com.
Yes, shout out as always to Wrestle Rumble. They've been great to us over a year now. We've been linked up with them, so we appreciate them. All right, everybody, let's get into the wrestling talk now, and we're gonna start with let's go to the past, and then we'll look towards the future.
Over 1 million fans and a great number in the demo tuned in. And it was a great show, and I think it's been a run of great shows.
AEW Full Gear this past weekend. It was on a Saturday. Bless the Saturday events with AEW. We had the main event headlined by originally MJF and Jay White, and then MJF got hurt. So Adam Cole stepped in, but then MJF came back, and MJF on one leg defeated Jay White to retain the AEW World title. So MJF is still the champion there. I think the big standout match that, for most people, myself included, Swerve Strickland and Hangman Page in the Texas Death Match with Swerve Strickland getting the victory in that one. What else stood out to you from this show, Jensen? And then also the main event, very divisive. We'll touch on that for a little while as well, because it kind of set up stuff that happened last night on Dynamite. But what were the big standouts from Full Gear for you?
So big stand. I know you just mentioned, but I have to highlight, Swerve versus Hangman, definitely the match of the night for me. That was awesome. Maggie's over here getting hot over the blood drinking. She's saying in the chat, it's funny because I watch a lot of deathmatch wrestling. I watch way more deathmatch wrestling than like your average wrestling fan. And like, I'm used to seeing people with like gusset plates stuck all in them and meat skewers and everything you can think of, glass and in people's mouths and whatnot. I watch it all on a pretty regular basis at this point, but you don't really see that. You don't really see, and that's on AEW, which is like, I know that it was cool how they did like the Nick Gage and Chris Jericho death match on Dynamite and stuff like that. But and they've done stuff with John Moxley where he took the skewers recently and like the internet blew up over it and whatnot. But like, that was like a whole nother level of like, this is pretty sadistic, but that was an incredible match. It really was. And going into it, we knew what Swerve was capable of, because we talked about on the last show when he was Killshot and Lucha Underground, what he's most known for outside of his run in the WWE and what he's doing in AEW now. What he's most known for probably in his whole career is the match he had with Dante Fox, now AR Fox, over in Lucha Underground. That I always call it the Weapons of Mass Destruction match, because I think that's what it was called. I just can't remember. But but it was a death match in Lucha Underground. So we knew that in this environment, Swerve could bring it. And he absolutely did. And we knew Hangman could, because he's done death matches in AEW in front of us, in the past as well, over the last 2 years. So I had really high hopes for the match going into it. And those guys not only delivered, they exceeded. So and then for Swerve to win also is like, that's so massive for him, because now you have a new, like, bona fide, like, made man in AEW, where like, if he were to win the AEW World Championship tomorrow, I don't think the fan base would be upset about it. Like he's at that level. Well, right. Yeah, no, I'm with you. Yes. Well, that's another thing that's interesting. He's getting cheered. Like he's doing the most sadistic stuff ever. He went in and like, I don't know what you even call it. He went in and like threatened Hangman's kid, I guess you'd say.
Had a chat with him,
right?
Just going in and just having a chat, getting him on the right path in life. That's all. I don't understand why people were freaking out about it.
Right, sure. So like, but even after all that, like, he's getting cheered, which is like, it says a lot about your fan base a little bit, but at the same time, it says a lot about your fan base in a positive way when you really think about it, because in the real world, yes, that's irreprehensible, but in pro wrestling, he's getting cheered because of the appreciation of the fans, where we're like, he's committed to this. His character is great. His in-ring work is great. We've wanted this push for a long time. A lot of these people were fans of his in the WWE and felt like he was done dirty in the WWE and like didn't get a real shot there. And you know what I mean? So it's like, there's a lot going for him, a lot of people behind him. So that was the biggest thing that stood out to me on the whole show, was that match and everything that kind of comes out of that, which we can talk about, kind of trickles into like the Continental Classic as well. Other stuff that really stood out to me. Let's see. I got to go through the card here and remember what all. I really like the 6-man tag match. I talked about that on the preview show also, how I was looking forward to that. And I love the fallout from it. I love the Christian Cage kill switch and Nick Wayne segment from Dynamite last night. So I love the match, and then I loved like what's happening coming out of it. Good to see Toni Storm win the women's title. I mean, we all saw that coming, but like it's the right move, obviously. And Julia Hart, same thing with the TBS Championship. I felt like we all kind of saw that coming. And shout out to Chris Statlander for another Ben Stiller movie reference with the dodgeball gear this time. She needs to do heavyweights. That's the one. Like screw this White Goodman stuff. Like Tony Perkis is the legend. Okay, like you got to do some Tony Perkis stuff. Come out in like in heavyweights gear. That would be awesome. Camp Hope. Come on, Chris. So that's the stuff that really stood out to me. I like the Golden Jets versus the Young Bucks as well, but it was like anything that came after that Texas death match was doomed. So it is what it is. But what other stuff kind of stood out for you? I mean, that would be, like, I guess, the main stuff for me. I mean, the real thing is the Swerve versus Hangman match. That's like the real thing for me on the show that I think people really need to watch. Unless you don't like death matches, I would avoid it in that case, of course. But
yeah, if you're not a fan of death matches, like I'm not. I can't watch like a full show of death matches. That's for sure. I can watch them in moderation, which is basically like one per show every maybe couple of weeks. But I think this was just a well done death match. I don't like when it gets a little, I mean, this might sound weird of like too over the top type of thing, because this was pretty over the top. But like, okay, now let's throw out glass and everything. Again, I think it's my issue is if I watch like too many like back to back and stuff, can't do like a full show. But if there's like one per show, I'm cool with it. And this was obviously the one on the show, and so I was cool with it. And it's been a while since I've watched like a death match like live type of thing, so I was like, okay, this is good. And look, it was good. It fit the story. It was something that was needed. I'm glad. I said this last week, but I thought Swerve needed to win this, because I think now, if we look back at it as well, is like if Hangman had won, usually that's to set up a trilogy, a rubber match, because Swerve won at Wrestle Dream, Hangman wins here. You can't top that. Like there's nowhere to go from that death match. It's like, oh, now we're going to put him in a cage, because Brian Cage interfered. So it's like, oh, well, now we can go no interference. Like you can't do a more violent match than they did. Like I understand the cage gimmick, but it's like, this doesn't feel like a conclusion after this death match. Like the death match felt like the conclusion, and Swerve winning, and I thought was the right call. I thought should have been the call from the start, and it was, especially after Hangman's promo where he called him a failure and everything. I don't, not that there was anything wrong with Hangman's promo, but I've said it on other shows of it's the Chris Jericho Bret Hart theory. It's like, okay, if you're gonna be like, this guy's a failure, you're a failure, you suck, it's like, all right, well, if this dude beats you, you just lost to a failure who sucks. And if you beat him, you just beat a failure who sucks. So what does that do for you? And I know the real elements of it and why Hangman went there, and I don't think anyone looked at that after that Hangman performance and was like, oh yeah, Hangman sucks, he just lost to a failure, and Swerve's also still a failure. Like they did a good enough match and the right type of match where people kind of just forgot about that, or it lessened those words. But I did think that Swerve should have won after those words, and he did. And now he's in the Continental Classic. We'll get into the Continental Classic a little bit here in a second, because I do want to get your thoughts on the stakes and like the importance of the tournament, because that's there's a lot of dividing topics in AEW right now. A lot of discourse and stuff, and some of it I think is hilarious. And we do a wrestling podcast, so we're going to talk about it and everything. But I've given my thoughts a lot on a lot of this stuff, so I'm very curious about your thoughts on it. As far as the other stuff on Full Gear, like it was a good show. The main event wasn't my cup of tea. I just thought some of it was I just thought the whole angle was just a little unnecessary. Just go out there, do a good match, have MJF win. Cool. That's it. Like MJF last night comes out. He's like, they all kind of tried to come at me. I still beat them one-legged. Didn't matter. And then they tried to boost Jay White up. Right. Like, but you know what, Jay White, you're still a great wrestler, and like take nothing away from you. It's like, yeah, I see you're trying here, Max, but like I watched the match. I saw what happened. Like you can try to praise Jay White for being a great wrestler, and he tried really hard, but it's like, man, he didn't look great in that match, the way it was played out. And I just thought it was unnecessary the way they did it. I just didn't think it was needed. Like you could have just done a good match and pretty much done the same match without all the leg stuff, because that part didn't do anything for Jay White. And I don't think it made MJF look stronger, because look at him. He's on one leg doing this. Like he's the world champion. He's good. You don't need him to be Super Cena or Hulk Hogan or anything. Like I think that time Super Cena like was rejected by the audience. And I don't think that's the time in wrestling that we're in, the Hulk Hogan kind of time right now, where that's the kind of style people want for the most part. They like the more just overall back and forth style matches in highlighting athleticism, not like one guy really overcomes all of these odds type of thing, like the Hulk Hogan. So I just didn't think it was super necessary. What were your overall impressions on the main event, though?
I didn't really like it either. And the person I was watching with was like, hated it, like straight up. And this, my buddy Hughes, that comes over for AEW like every week. So this is like a hardcore AEW fan. He's like, this is dumb. Like he thought all of it was dumb and unnecessary. I feel the same way. I actually side. I usually don't really side with like the negative like portion of the AEW fan base, because I feel like that's also a lot of the people that like drove Cody out of the company. That's a whole other conversation. I see people divisive about like, why did Cody leave WWE? No, he said this. No, he said that. A lot of people are talking for him, and I know I do that as well. But we can't sit here and act, because I saw this stuff about like Bubba Ray. I think it was Bubba Ray talked about like how the fans like pushed Cody out, and then all these people came out to like defend how like that wasn't the case and it was a personal issue. Yes, Cody has said there's personal issues, but are you guys gonna really sit here and think that didn't get to him at all? The idea of like all these people hate me all of a sudden, unless they were gonna. Anyway, that's a whole other conversation. I'm not blaming the fans specifically for him leaving. There clearly was other things that led to him leaving that I don't know about, that nobody knows about. But like, I feel like there is a portion of the fan base that turned on him for absolutely no reason. And a lot of those people are also the same kind of like CM Punk fan base. They're like, but I actually agree with like them right now when it comes to like hating on this storyline with like the way that they did this on this pay-per-view. I think that was, I'll agree with the negative AEW fanboys when it comes to the main event of the show. I don't think you needed any of the Adam Cole stuff at all. The Devil didn't even show up, which I think was a miss.
Yeah, I was... I expected the Devil, some type of tease, and then it wasn't there. Joel kind of surmised that, well, the Devil is Adam Cole, which I'm kind of leaning towards that right now. And that's why, the Devil didn't show up, because the Devil was there the entire time. But
then last night, Cole and MJF were in the ring together, and the Devil popped up on the big screen, and it sounded like Jack Perry. So
I see Retro Nicotine is saying thoughts on Jack Perry being the Devil. That is a possibility that it's Jack Perry, which would be hilarious. I don't know. I expected some type of tease at Full Gear, and we didn't get it. I imagine the reveal will come at World's End now. That's another month away, so they got another month of teases and everything. I do think it was a little bit of a miss to not have just some type of, because it started with the Jay White attack. Like that's where we first saw the Devil. So I thought we should have had something with the Devil there. And, unless it is Adam Cole and that's how you explain it. And then of course, but we won't know that until the actual reveal. And then we can look back and be like, oh, that's why they weren't at Full Gear. Still could have done maybe a little something, and they didn't, but we'll see. We will see where they end up going with it.
Yeah. And listen, I love MJF as AEW World Champion. I'm a huge MJF fan. Y'all know that. I have been for a very long time. I just, this was just like it was just like overbooked or whatever. It just wasn't, they didn't need so much of this. Now, granted, I get part of why they're doing this, I have to assume here, is because they're really trying to mislead the audience as much as possible so that whenever they reveal who the Devil is, it's like a big payoff. I get that. I think that was a lot of this, where it's like you're planting seeds of doubt and questioning Adam Cole constantly. You're questioning MJF constantly. We haven't seen Jack Perry in forever. CM Punk's name keeps popping up. I know I highly doubt it's him, but it's just like, they're playing with a lot of the speculation in this too, which is smart. I get that, but because on paper, the devil should just be either MJF or Adam Cole. It should just be one of those two guys this entire time. Doubt it's MJF after all of this, after all he's been through. It really wouldn't make sense. But now, after we've seen the devil and Adam Cole not in the same place at the same time, unless they could always explain that the devil mask is being passed around to different people, and it's like a group of people who have been doing this to him, and they've taken turns wearing the mask. Like, that's definitely possible, but it makes things a lot more confusing and convoluted and stuff. It'd be nice if just like it was one devil, same person on the mask the entire time. And if like we saw him last night, it can't be Adam Cole or MJF because they were in the ring at the time. But then at the same time, those guys could be under Adam Cole, for instance, could be one of the guys under one of the masks, not under the devil mask, but one of the people that are also doing the attacks. We don't know. But all of this is being done it's because of this devil storyline. I think it's why we got so much of the overbooking stuff on the main event for the pay-per-view. And then I think that you're 100% right about how they tried to save Jay White last night, and Jeff Valley Driver says it could have been pre-recorded. They can always explain it that way. That's very possible.
Yeah.
But the Jay White thing, I thought that was pretty funny too, how MJF last night on the microphone was like, yeah, everyone, believe me. Jay White's who he says he is. He's awesome. He's great in the ring. One of the best wrestlers of all time. Because that was clearly a response to the backlash online of how weak it made Jay White look to lose to MJF when he was that injured. So, and also the idea that Adam Cole could have ever been cleared to even wrestle in his condition, and the idea that we already have Samoa Joe on the same show defending a Ring of Honor title he doesn't own. And then later on the show, you're going to let the world title be defended by not the world champion. It's weird. It's weird booking. Love AEW. Love Tony Khan. Weird booking.
They're leaning heavy into the sports entertainment stuff with MJF. Now they're going, more sports presentation with the Continental Classic, which I love.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, excuse me. So yeah, when it comes to MJF, look, I did love the segment last night with Samoa Joe. I'm all for Samoa Joe getting the title shot, and I'm all for Samoa Joe winning that title, if I'm being honest about things. Adam Cole was there last night. Jeff Valley Driver was kind of pointing out the facials Adam Cole made, and Adam Cole, I think he had that line of give it up for the devil type of thing. And was he talking about himself? Was he talking about MJF? They're giving little breadcrumbs on this. The payoff's got to be something, especially if they're going to stretch this out until World's End. The payoff's got to be good. I only feel like an Adam Cole or MJF payoff is the way to go based on everything else. I don't know if I'll be disappointed if it's anybody else, if it is Jack Perry, but I think the breadcrumbs they're leaving right now makes it seem like it's Adam Cole or MJF, and that might be the best payoff on this. If it's Jack Perry, it's Jack Perry. We'll see where they actually do pay this off at. But I think Adam Cole might be the way to go with this, and then Adam Cole takes the title. But I think MJF should just lose it to Samoa Joe, but I'm always going to vouch for Samoa Joe being the world champion because he's fucking Samoa Joe. Why shouldn't he be the world champion? I did I got it last night. It's very nitpicky. I realize that where Joe's no, I want you 100%. I don't want to beat you tonight. You're banged up and everything. It's okay, that's a babyface move for Samoa Joe. Is Joe the heel? Is Joe the babyface? MJF the heel? MJF the babyface? I've talked about this before with AEW, and I don't think it's necessarily always a bad thing, but I do think if you do it too often, it can get a little muddy because people they want to root for people, and they want a clean babyface. They want a clean heel, and AEW has a lot of they have babyface tendencies, they have heel tendencies. And sometimes if you do it too much, it can be a turnoff of things. I'm not speaking for myself on this, by the way. I am speaking for other people who aren't online and aren't like invested as deep as maybe you and I are, who do podcasts on it every single week. But they have told me that, like, yeah, sometimes I'm just like, I want to get behind this person, but then they do something that makes me not like them. I'm just like, and I just don't care as much. And I'm just like, yeah, I kind of get that just like, it's tough to find that person to root for, because then they do something that is like, oh, well, that's what a heel would do. So why am I going to get behind you, type of thing? Like, I think Hangman should be the biggest babyface in the company, especially after this death match. Like, I think he should have been the biggest babyface in the company for, honestly, years now, ever since the CM Punk stuff. But they put him on the back burner after that, and it took him a while to kind of get back up there again. So I would totally be behind Hangman on that. But I can see with the Joe and MJF stuff, it's like, yeah, you're kind of a dick there, but I also really like you here. And I've mentioned this before when it comes to like tendencies in AEW. It's like, a lot of times it's not black and white. Like, humans are not black and white. There are a lot of, sometimes you do good things, and then other times, like, that might not be good in another person's eyes, but you thought you were doing the right thing. So AEW does lean into that, and I think it works in some cases. I also think in professional wrestling, sometimes you just need that guy who is like, that's the guy who does good. That's who I'm behind. And you also need the despicable heel that's the guy that sucks and has no redeeming qualities. And MJF for a while was that.
Yeah, and he will be again one day. I mean, like I said, I think the main reason they're even doing this babyface run is so that he's even more over as a heel eventually, because it was hard for him to, like, I shouldn't say there wasn't anywhere for him to go as a heel before, because there definitely was, but I've said it before, like, there's what better way of, like, you just have this opportunity where MJF was getting organically cheered. You have the whole thing with him and Adam Cole and MJF. That whole thing just kind of like worked better than I think anyone expected it to. And now you just have this incredible opportunity to make the fans love MJF right now, so that when he stabs them all in the back, they're going to hate him 10 times more than they would have. Which is why I think him being the devil would actually be a good idea. But it doesn't make sense with, like, how the story's been told that it would be him at all. As far as the Samoa Joe stuff, the problem with Samoa, it's not really a problem. It's a good problem to have if you're a wrestling fan. The problem with Samoa Joe is he just has so much respect from the fan base that, like him as a heel, it works still because, like, he's so good at what he does. And, like, if we're meant to boo Joe, we can boo Joe. But the problem is, like, when his music hits, we're all still going to be going, Joe, Joe, Joe. And we're still going to be, like, popping for the Muscle Buster and the Coquina Clutch and everything. Everything he does is his in-ring style. Like, he just has, he has, like, 2 decades plus at this point, like, worth of us being invested. And it's not even just, like, as wrestling fans. A lot of us are, like, the indie fans of his in Ring of Honor, fans of, like, we loved him in NXT. We wanted more from him in WWE. Like, so he's a bona fide, like, pro wrestling legend, like a living legend. And so it's like, we want to, and he's so good at, like, he's so good still. Like, he's going out there and still having great matches. So, like, part of us is, and this is how I speak for myself and probably for you also, Jeremy, and probably a lot of people in the chat. It's like, if Samoa Joe, even though he lost a recent world title match, even though he lost to CM Punk on pay-per-view not that long ago and stuff, if Samoa Joe beat MJF for the world title, I'm totally cool with it. It's like, it's Samoa Joe. Like, it's still Samoa Joe, and he's still performing at a super high level. So it's one of those things where it's tough, where, like, I can't, the AEW fan base is, I don't think they're going to, like, hate Samoa Joe no matter what he does. And if MJF, they're kind of on the fence one way or another, it just makes it where this is a scenario, like you were saying, Jeremy, where it'd be really beneficial to have a clear heel and babyface dynamic in this, so that the fan base kind of knew kind of where to direct the cheers and boos throughout their feud and throughout their match and stuff, even though they're going to like both guys, obviously. One other thing I want to mention based on what you said, I'm going to clear my throat real quick. Just quick. Okay, so the devil thing with Jack Perry. Okay, let's say it's him. We'll just say it's him, because the voice sounded like him, but they could also be doing that to throw people off. They could have had him laugh into a microphone and then, like, distorted it and been like, this will similar to I don't know what the plans were, but over in WWE when they were doing the Uncle Howdy thing, it was clearly Bo Dallas's voice, like doing the laughing and stuff like that. So I think that if the devil is Jack Perry, there's definitely going to be a good portion of the audience that will be disappointed with the idea of that. But it depends on how they present it, because it is very specific. I know other people have come up with this idea as well. But if it's Jack Perry and he returns and his theme song is now Cry Me a River by Justin Timberlake, like he is going to be like, it would be incredible if he was the devil and he had that theme music and they just pushed him as the top heel for a while. Like, I think, and it would actually make sense because of the history of him and MJF like telling him he didn't have him in it. It didn't have it in him to like be that kind of guy, and how they, and Jack is a callback to Jack saying there was like allusions in the past to them being more similar than we thought they were and stuff like that. And so I think if you go back and put the pieces together, I think and of course Jack Perry's been off TV for a while. That has to do with the CM Punk stuff, but we also don't know, like, was his real suspension from that like hardly anything? And were they like, let's just take you off TV and just totally repackage you, and we're going to do this whole new angle when you come back? And so I'm just saying, like, I think Jack Perry, it could work. I'm a big Jack Perry fan. I really liked his heel run before he took this time off. So, and I love, him standing up for himself, in real life too. So like, I think that him being the devil would actually be really badass, depending on how the presentation was, especially if his theme music is Cry Me a River when he comes back. Tony Khan, you gotta license that. That is the most perfect theme song in the history of wrestling if he comes back, and that's his music. So gotta put that out there.
I love that you are all in on Jack Perry just because he got the last laugh on CM Punk.
That's not the only reason, to be fair. I do like him even more because of that. But no, y'all can go back and listen to this show, the shows I've done with Doug, really, even like the Weekender. I'm sure I've mentioned it before. Like, I wasn't sure about the initial Jack Perry heel turn. I was really skeptical about it, but and I really hated like the theme music. But then I was like, yeah, that's the point though. Like, they're doing it, and it's like it's making me hate him. Like that's actually working. And then I really liked when he was doing the stuff with Jerry Lynn, and he did like kind of like Jerry Lynn cosplay for this match and stuff, and the FTW stuff. And I actually thought it was really, really good heel work. I really liked it. And then you put on top of that, yes, what you just mentioned with the CM Punk stuff. Yeah, sure. That game, that I like that he stood up to the guy. This is what it is. So what
if instead of his theme music is, instead of Justin Timberlake, because we shouldn't give him any money, what if his theme music is Cult of Personality?
That would be absolutely incredible. But yeah, that would cause, I don't know. That'd be, I don't think they can even do that because Living Color, they go with Punk, not with the company. But yeah,
you pay enough money, they'll go with whoever.
That's true. There's something else you just mentioned that I was going to touch on about him, and I just forgot what it was. That's okay though. Trying to think if there was anything else Jack Perry wise. I'm a fan though. I think him returning as the devil would be cool. Him returning just in general would be cool. I don't know.
What are your thoughts?
I don't know.
Okay, what are your thoughts on the Continental Classic? They announced the leagues, so to say, yesterday in a video where they did not reveal the title, but they revealed the leagues. So we got the Gold League, which is Swerve, Jay White, John Moxley, Mark Briscoe, Roosh, and Jay Lethal. That kicked off last night, the Gold League's action. And the Blue League, we got Danielson, Andrade, Eddie Kingston, Brody King, Claudio, and Daniel Garcia. The winner becomes the ROH World Champion, the New Japan Strong Openweight Champion, and AEW Continental Champion. And they're basically a Triple Crown champion. I guess they defend the title, whichever company they're at, whenever they want, wherever they want, type of thing. It's their version of the G1. It's going to end at World's End. What are your thoughts on the stakes and then the leagues?
I definitely don't need another title belt. Like we just did this with the international championship that was before. What did they call it before that? The
All Atlantic.
Atlantic. Yeah, the All Atlantic Championship, which was created out of thin air because of like a short tournament, basically for the first Forbidden Door show, right? That's when they.
Yeah.
So that kind of came out of nowhere. Now, granted, I know Pac had it initially, and I know it's been hot potato a little bit recently, but Orange Cassidy has done a really good job of like making that championship valuable. So I'm not going to knock the existence of the international championship, but the Continental Championship, I mean, you put an INTER in front of that. What's that spell? I mean, I'm just like, you're literally creating an intercontinental title. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of funny. So why are you making an IC title now? It doesn't make any sense. Just have this ball be for the ROH championship or consolidate it all. Make an agreement with New Japan to where it's like, okay, the strong title is gone. The Ring of Honor World title is gone. Now it's just everything is through the but that's weird taking away the ROH World title though. That'd be weird to do that. I don't know. It's just convoluted. I don't know why. I don't know. Do you feel the same way? Like, so the champion's gonna win 3 titles across across 3 companies. It's kind of a cool concept, and I like that they're doing their own version of the G1. It's better than them just doing a straight up tournament with brackets, just like they do over and over and over again in AEW. But so I'll say this: I like the concept. I like the competitors. It's gonna be a good tournament. It started off hot last night on Dynamite, but I don't necessarily need another AEW championship in the mix.
My thoughts are that it depends on how it all kind of plays out and what they do moving forward. Like I have no doubt that the matches are going to be good. The matches were good last night. I have no doubt that all through they're going to be good. The finals are going to be good. Everything. The way I looked at it when they announced the stakes and everything is the ROH title is what it is in the AEW universe. It's the ROH world title, but it's rarely on ROH television. In the AEW universe, it's a secondary title. It kind of is. Obviously, in ROH, it's the world title, but in the AEW universe, it's a secondary title. New Japan Strong, it's the world title of New Japan Strong, but in the New Japan universe, it's a secondary title.
And in the AEW universe, it's like 3rd tier. Like,
yeah, I won't even put it in the AEW universe because I didn't. They don't really have the New Japan Strong title defended. They did the match, I guess, at Wrestle Dream with Shibata, where both the titles were on the line.
Right.
And then now you're introducing a new AEW title. So okay, like we've already got a lot of AEW singles titles. So what's this new title going to represent moving forward? When you have the TBS title or TNT title, which is pretty well established. And you have the international championship, which Orange Cassidy has done a great job of establishing. What is this continental title going to represent? So if you're going to make it this big championship where it can be defended and it's going to actually headline, some ROH events, and the champion's actually going to show up and work ROH matches, and they're going to show up on the New Japan events in America, maybe even go to Japan, and you're going to make it have some importance on AEW television as well, then you can put some value on it. Like, let's say Jon Moxley wins and Jon Moxley just goes around defending this title. Cool. That makes the title valuable. I don't like my AEW and ROH stories blending a lot. Like I've spoke about that. So I think we're going to get more of that with this title, and that worries me a little bit. And I do think if like Jon Moxley has the championship, is he going to be like, yeah, I'm the ROH world champion. Here I am on AEW TV. Kind of like Claudio. Is he just going to hold the title like Claudio did? And it's like, all right, what, don't you have ROH stuff to do? Can't you feud in the ROH? Why are you just having these random AEW matches? So the stakes kind of lessen the tournament for me, because I was just like, because of the way they've treated ROH in the world title throughout since basically Tony acquired it, is they've told me that ROH hasn't been as important. And now you're telling me, here's the ROH title. This is an important title. Watch ROH. So I was a little less excited when the stakes were announced. But they do have a very SP3 joined Joel and I yesterday for a little while, saying that like they're trying to they could make this title like the IWGP Intercontinental title when they had that. And like, look, if that's the case and you make it like a real Triple Crown, real second championship, like cool, then you got to, but you got to do that. And I don't think we're going to know the value of this title and of this tournament until one, it ends, and then a couple months later to see how they actually book whoever wins this tournament and how they book the championship defenses. I think that's when we're going to find out the real value of this overall tournament and the real value of these titles.
Yeah, and also like, so at the end of the tournament and somebody's holding all three of the belts, then going forward, is that person defending all three of those every time that they're defending them? Like is that champion
That's
going to Ring of Honor defending
like.
all three, going to New Japan defending all three, AEW defending? So why isn't it just one title belt then?
Because you can't do a cool Ultimo Dragon photo with one title around the waist holding two titles if you only have one title belt.
That's very true. Ultimo Dragon ruled. I'm not going to discredit that. He's covered in titles. Him and Sonny Ono together, just draped in gold. Excuse me, but yeah, I understand the idea and the concept. It just kind of feels like the international championship already exists, like for this exact reason. Like, why wasn't that just the like what you could have done is you could have just had Jon Moxley retain the international championship over Orange Cassidy at Full Gear, and then he just defended that title throughout this tournament, and then that would just be, you wouldn't need not the Intercontinental title, the Continental title. I don't know, just don't see the point. But I think this tournament's badass. It's a great tournament, round robin style. So anyone could really win this thing. Even if they lost last night, they could still win this thing.
I don't think Jay Lethal's winning this thing.
I don't think Jay Lethal's winning this thing either. But I'm just saying, like, that's just to keep that in mind for people. Like, it's a bit different how this tournament's going to work than most tournaments. But I like that they're doing their own version of the G1 basically, and I just don't love the idea of like all the title belts and like, I don't know. I just don't see the point. I don't see the point in adding another AEW championship. Like, you can already, like you mentioned before, you already have the TNT title, which like really had no identity really between like Cody leaving the company and Christian winning it. Now it matters again, but that's because of Christian. Like, I don't think that TNT title really, let me put it this way, I don't think the TNT title really means much. But Christian is doing such incredible work that him holding the title is making it seem like something. Does that make sense? Like, yeah. Like the TNT title had gotten so lost in the mix and become so devalued throughout like all the Wardlow runs and stuff, in my opinion, that just who cares? But Christian's so damn good that it's like, shit, well, TNT title rules because Christian rules, just by association. But you already have that. You already have an international championship that's literally called the International Championship. Like, what's the difference between international and continental? Intercontinental, right? It's all one thing. It's all, put those two titles together. You have an Intercontinental Championship. How's anyone else saying this?
Maybe they
will. I know, but it's just like, that's bootleg, dude. I don't know how else to say it. It's like that's weak. But anyway, who do you think is going to win this thing? I'll give you your first up. Who do you think wins this whole thing?
I'm of two minds of it. If you want to like make the title and have it, where it's going to be sort of defended at different places in, like, you want to really elevate it right off the bat. I think Moxley or Danielson is the way to go. I see an argument for Jay White and Swerve as well. My thing is, like, I love Swerve being in the tournament. If I don't want him lost in this mix of where it feels like he should be elevated to the world title at this point. Like, and this is where I come back to the stakes of it. Of all right, he's winning he could win the ROH championship and the New Japan Strong Championship. Swerve's going to do great things with those titles. But again, you've told me in the AEW universe that those titles don't matter all that much. Like, they're important in the ROH universe, but the ROH universe is very small, and the fan base is what it is. The importance of it overall is what it is on that. And I feel like just Swerve should be above that. Same way I kind of thought Eddie Kingston should be above that. If you're going to use these titles and actually like put these people on ROH television and give them something substantial to do on ROH television, I'm actually fine with that. Do I still think people like Swerve and Eddie Kingston are kind of above that and should be on AEW TV? Yes, 100%. But if you're going to put them on ROH and try to really elevate ROH in that way, I'm fine with that. They just haven't done that. They're just like, oh yeah, here's Eddie Kingston defending the title against Jay Lethal by losing to Jeff Jarrett. And then we're doing this on the AEW pre-show, this ROH title match. Like, you're telling me it's not all that. And I know, oh, they're trying to make the pre-show mean something, but like, you're telling me that it is what it is on that. And they've been doing it even during Claudio's run as well. But
Jericho's entire run with the title was on AEW. Like, how think he made any Ring of Honor appearances?
Yeah, like if you're going to try to actually boost ROH, then cool, go for that. I'm all for it. That's what I want. I want this stuff to operate separately and not take up AEW time. But I don't think they're going to do that because, and I don't think, again, Swerve and Eddie Kingston, they're above kind of this version of ROH, and that's why they're still on AEW television. That's why I look at somebody like Daniel Garcia. Is I think Daniel Garcia, one, you give him big wins over Bryan Danielson. You give him a big final victory over somebody like Jon Moxley. And then he has these titles, and he is at that level that you've kind of been presenting these titles. It's like, yeah, Daniel Garcia can be on ROH, but still make AEW appearances. Daniel Garcia can go on these New Japan shows, wrestle and like co-main events and stuff. I mean, Eddie Kingston's on these New Japan shows. He's in the co-main event or below on these New Japan USA shows, even though he's the strong openweight champion. They're like, we're going to put this Shingo match over Eddie Kingston. Like, that's just where they're at on things. Like, Shingo and Trent is headlining over your New Japan strong openweight championship. I feel like Daniel Garcia can be that person. So I'm looking at Garcia as sort of the dark horse sort of winner because of how they presented these titles. And then, but if they're going to try to really elevate and really make it mean something, which I feel like for the first one they might, then I'm looking at somebody like Bryan or Moxley or Swerve. Maybe they see Jay White there, and this is their rehab tool for Jay White after everything.
Yeah, I mean that's what part of what makes this tournament fun, though, is that it is, there's a lot of different ways it can go with it that would make sense as far as the winner. My initial pick, and I tweeted this as well, like after they announced the lineup. Excuse me, my choice actually was Daniel Garcia. I think he makes the most sense for like what this tournament could be for all the reasons you just mentioned, because he could be a regular in Ring of Honor. And it would make sense. Same thing with popping up from New Japan shows. It makes sense. He has their in-ring style that's going to be believable in any company. And he has the history where if you got to win over Danielson, another win over Danielson. Because that's what he tapped him with the that Dragon Slayer, right? That's why he named it the Dragon Slayer, was he actually forced him to tap out to that before, which is a massive deal. And there's a lot more meat on the bones there. There's also been a lot of talk in the past of how Danielson, or how Garcia rather, was supposed to be an initial member of the Blackpool Combat Club, but Jericho wanted him for the Appreciation Society, and so there's just so much left there between. I feel like between Danielson and Garcia, but I'm with you. I think, me personally, I think Daniel Garcia should win this whole thing because it just does so much for him, for everything I just mentioned, everything you mentioned, and also it gets him back in that mix of like believable AEW kind of like world title contender after he has a run with this title. Like if he has a good run with it, I think he gets really elevated in AEW, which he should be. But if it isn't Garcia, I think the most likely person is Danielson, mainly because it gives him the opportunity. If he's really wrapping up his full-time career over the next year, what better way than also being able to pop up in New Japan, being a pop up in Ring of Honor? You know what I mean? Like
he could already do that though, like that.
But as the champion though, like the Ring of Honor role, it's kind of cool to be able to say like Bryan Danielson is the Ring of Honor world champion again before the end of his career. Like just like stuff like that, I guess. I
said I like Jeff. I like Jeff Driver's point, by the way. Jay White wins, so he's allowed back in New Japan. That's a good point. I said that Danielson should bring back Real Pro Wrestling, win this tournament, and then when he goes to New Japan to face Okada on January 4th, and they're like, Brian, we need you to return the favor to Okada. You beat him at Forbidden Door. You know, you gotta take this loss. Brian's like, I got these 3 titles that I just won, man. I just won these titles like 5 days ago. I can't lose my first match as the champion. I got to win this one too. Sorry, brother. That doesn't work for me. Bring back real pro wrestling, Bryan Danielson.
There you go. Yeah,
TK should do it too. TK should put the titles on Danielson. Just to be like, oh, I can't have my new champion losing to Okada. Like, no, we can't do that.
It's so funny because, as you know, and as everyone else watching this, I'm sure knows, Danielson is the last person on earth who would ever pull that card. He'd be the guy back there, like literally petitioning to lose. Like, they'd come in and be like, all right, we're gonna have you go over Okada. He's like, no, I beat him last time. Like, he needs to beat me today. Like, he'd be like doing the opposite. And the other thing that's worth mentioning that you mentioned too is Swerve. He was the most confusing entrant outside of maybe Brody King, because I get them having like a bigger guy in there that can
Brody
work,
King's there to take some L's.
I agree. But the Swerve one was confusing because, like you said, coming out of that Hangman match, you would think he would just be elevated closer towards like MJF and that stuff, unless they're going to have to come back to him and Hangman, like you said, because that wasn't really like the blow off to a feud, but I would not try to top that. Maybe you could do that like a while from now, maybe revisit that like
that
months down the road.
Off. You can't go like that was the blow off.
No, but I'm just saying like, but for Hangman, it's like, that's a weird way to go out. But Hangman's gonna come back as a sympathetic babyface.
Yeah, Hangman's just got to take that L and get back up on the horse and figure something else out, because you can't just you can't go after Swerve and then win. Like, I won this last match, but you got me the other 2. Like, you can't come back from that again. Sometimes you got to move on from feuds, and for Hangman, very easy to move on. Of like Swerve, he was the better man type of thing, but he brought that fire back out of me. Because that was the whole build up to it. And he's like, he brought that fire back out of me. And then here comes another challenger, whoever it might be, whoever's going to step to Hangman and be like, good, I'm glad you got that fire back. Like, let's see how much you really got that fire back. And then you do a feud based off of that. And
I like that, by the way. And things don't have to be like 50-50. Things don't have to be like the good guy always wins. Like, what I like so much about one of the reasons I like this scenario so much between Hangman and Swerve, especially if they left it here, is that both guys are so over that some people are going to look at this and be like, well, it's going to devalue this, or it's like, no, both guys are super over, and you made a new main eventer out of Strickland out of this, and the Hangman was already a main eventer. So I like
this idea. Bring it full circle. When Swerve wins the title, Hangman's wanted to throw him. My wife said that Hangman can deal with the elite BS. I actually love that, and the fact that Hangman should walk up to all of them and just slap the shit out of them. Like, all of you are being a bunch of bitches right now. Get your shit together. Because, here comes Brian Cage to interfere for Swerve. Where's Hangman's friends? That was the whole point of them getting back together. Hangman should call out his friends on their nonsense.
I think that I don't know if they've tried to explain it at all and I missed it, but the Elite was the next match, right? Jericho, Omega, and the Young Bucks. So they could make the excuse of like, we were getting ready for a match and we didn't see it, I guess, or something. But like, that's all
they are a bunch of bitches, though. They didn't care that Swerve's house got broken into, or not Swerve. Swerve broke into his house. Hangman's house, and the Young Bucks like, oh, why are you hanging out with Chris Jericho? Again, Hangman should slap the shit out of all of them and bring some sense to them. That's what I would want from Hangman.
And Jeff Dollar Driver with another good point. They didn't even sell it like anything happened when they came out.
That's what I said that on Twitter. I was like, if the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega were really good friends, they'd beat the shit out of Jericho and leave and be like, we got to go make sure Hangman's okay. Like, what are we doing here? Doing this wrestling match after we just watched our friend go through that. But no, they got to do their spots, get their shit in on this wrestling show.
And people got to give Hangman credit, like, because it's easy to get lost in the mix of like so much stuff going on in the world of wrestling, especially even just in the world of AEW alone. Between this feud he had with Swerve and the feud with Moxley earlier this year, like, those are 2 badass feuds where he really, I mean, those guys, all 3 of those dudes in both of those 2 feuds, like, they put themselves through some stuff, man. I mean, the Hangman deserves a lot of credit for what he's done this year, even though it kind of has gone kind of low key in the grand scheme of things.
I'm telling you, Hangman is the dude they should be building around on this stuff. Like, he proved it with the Omega feud, and then, the title run, there were some misses there. I still didn't like the Adam Cole feud. The matches were fine. I didn't like that Cole basically lost to Orange Cassidy, and then they said he didn't lose because lights out match, but whatever. We all saw him get pinned.
We all saw it,
yeah, in that match, and then it was like, oh, Adam Cole gets title shots. Like, the matches were fine. I don't think Cole was the right guy at that time. The Punk feud was good. I realized that it caused a lot of damage, but like, it was a good feud. The match was good and everything, and then he's been having good matches. The Moxley stuff was good, but yeah, it was just kind of low key. Yeah, all the Danielson stuff, shit. Yeah, like,
well, of course, yeah. The Danielson stuff was great.
Like, Hangman, he's been that dude. They're so hot and cold on him. One thing I would have, and I understand why they didn't do this, by the way. Swerve should not be losing to Jay Lethal. So I get that. But Swerve coming off that Texas death match, I would have been cool if, like, he had faced Jay White last night and Jay White beat him. Moxley could have been the other one. Honestly, Mark Briscoe could have gotten that victory over Swerve last night and sell that, like, oh, Swerve's coming off the Texas death match, like, he's banged up and everything. Is he back in the ring too soon? Mark Briscoe's not the guy you want to face. Moxley, again, another guy you could pretty much do it with. Jay Lethal's about the only guy you couldn't do it with, and maybe that's why they had him face Jay Lethal. It's like, yeah, we'll just have Jay Lethal lose because he's in this tournament to take a bunch of L's. But, have it be like a Mark Briscoe victory. It's like, oh, shit, Mark Briscoe. I don't think people would have suspected Mark Briscoe beating Swerve in this tournament. And then you immediately establish, like, one, cumulative damage matters in this, because here's Swerve coming off this Texas death match a few days ago, and then he loses to Mark Briscoe. Then Swerve, he gets to heal up for a week before his next match. Then he can start maybe going on his run a little bit and start beating everybody, which I assume he's going to win a good chunk of these matches. Like last night, the predictable people won. And I think that's fine. You're going to have that. But I do like that about the G1 is, like, night one, they usually have that big, like, upset that people, now it's become a thing of like, oh, well, we see it coming because you do these big upsets every year. But, like, when they first did it, it was very shocking when like Jay White would beat, like, Okada on night one. It's like, oh shit, nobody thought that. Like, we're all expecting Okada to be in the finals. And here he is losing to Jet. Like, they do the big upset on night one. And I would have liked something like that last night. Otherwise, instead we just got, which is fine. The guys you expected to win won last night.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I know we'll definitely have some upsets throughout this thing, but I like what you're saying. Like, I don't like the idea of Swerve losing, like, right after that huge win over Hangman, but I do like what you're saying about the cumulative damage, because that should mean something for sure. And also the idea of someone beating Swerve last night, pretty much anybody but Lethal, it could have been, like you said, in that bracket. Like say Mark Briscoe, for instance. A caveat there too is that how, and the rules wind up being highlighted because you can play into the idea that Swerve had the help from Brian Cage to ultimately win the match on Full Gear, but because of the way the tournament is laid out with no ringside anything, like way more sports based, like he can't have the help. You know what I mean? So like there would be a way to maybe have Swerve lose and it makes sense that night. And it would have only made sense last night because it's literally coming right off of that match without being able to have time to heal. So I get that line of thinking. I think we would both agree, though, and I think most people in the chat would agree, Swerve just shouldn't even be in this tournament. He should just be, like, in another top storyline that leads to him being in the world title mix, coming off the Hangman feud and win. But the one good thing about this, though, for Swerve, though, is he'll have consistently great matches with everyone in this tournament and just continue to raise his value in that way, in, like, the fans' eyes. But he's already, like, there. They're already cheering him. He's already... And I'll also say this: his double stomp last night was very good. He's gotten a lot better at the double stomp recently. He's going more towards the head. He's landing more kind of on people's heads, and it's way less obvious than when he was landing on people's chests and splitting his legs before he'd land. For people who don't notice, I'm sure it's impossible not to notice, but usually when Swerve would hit that double stomp, like he's just landing around people. Like he wasn't even landing on people, and it really bothered me. Recently, he's been doing it to the head, and it's been looking good. So I got to give him credit for that. Although I do like his other finisher a lot better, the kind of like the Pentagon driver type, the Grace driver type.
driver, yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're kind of all in agreement with this tournament for the most part. Like, it seems a bit convoluted with all the championships. They probably don't need another title in AEW, but whoever wins this should be someone who can represent in AEW, in Ring of Honor, and in New Japan. Someone like Danielson probably makes the most sense, but someone like Garcia could probably benefit the most from it and would also be able to do all the things I just mentioned.
Yeah, we're going to move on to the WWE Spotlight.
I need to finish the story. In the WWE, the story never finishes.
Hey, one story you can finish is leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat and get 3 entries into the Wrestle Rumble pick'ems. We're doing a pick'em for Survivor Series. You can get a free entry into that. Get a free entry into the Randy Savage raffle, and you can get a free entry into the John Cena raffle as well. All you got to do is leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat, and we will draw out the names right before we run our interview in just a little bit. So leave a Wrestle Rumble in the chat, everybody. All right, WWE story that we'll kind of start again this Saturday at War Games. Randy Orton's back, and we have War Games with Orton, Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Sami Zayn, and Seth Rollins against Judgment Day, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, Dominic Mysterio, JD McDonough, and Drew McIntyre. Are you excited for the return of Randy Orton, Jensen?
Well, we've been talking about this for weeks. We all saw this coming. It makes sense though. I mean, and I like the way that they kind of they were in a corner, and we've talked about this before too. But so I think it's pretty obvious that they announced Randy Orton without announcing him officially on
They
Raw.
put him on the poster.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry on Raw though. Like how Cody didn't officially say it, but he let the crowd do it for him.
Yeah.
And so everyone knows. And yes, okay, I guess it is 100% official with it, on the poster now. But obviously, because in most scenarios, you would just have him appear at the pay-per-view as the surprise. But they don't want an entire crowd full of CM Punk, CM Punk, CM Punk, and then Randy Orton comes out. A lot of people still think CM Punk showing up at this thing, and if he does, that's gonna be one of the most wild things I've ever witnessed online. I'm going to definitely be looking at Twitter during this show. But I like it makes sense for it to be Randy. He has the history with Cody. You could also I wouldn't be surprised if Randy turned or something real quick too. Because I feel like there's a lot more sense in doing Randy versus Cody before Cody goes on to win the title at WrestleMania 40 from Roman Reigns. So, but I like this. I mean, Randy he makes the most sense of literally anyone outside of maybe like Kevin Owens, because of, storyline wise, Kevin Owens would make sense, of course, but Randy Orton, I thought it was also kind of funny because I watched some clips from this throughout the show. And I saw it was like Sammy, Rollins, and Cody were all together. And this is after they had been looking for people, and Cody walks up to both of them and they're just like, nope. Can't find anyone. No one's answering. It's like no one's answering the phone for Seth Rollins or Sami Zayn. Not one person's down to help these guys out. They're two of the biggest stars in the whole world. No one. And then Cody's just casually oh no, it's cool. My guy answered. He's in. It's oh, okay, NBD. All right, let's go. But yeah, how do you feel about it? I mean, it had to be Randy Orton.
Yeah. I think everyone knew it was gonna kind of be Randy Orton, Fightful Select, and Sean Ross Sapp had kind of put that out there in the past few weeks that was sort of the plan. And it's Orton. I understand why they want to announce it beforehand because you don't want to. I think if it was anywhere else but Chicago, you'd be okay. And obviously,
Yes.
with all of the AEW stuff, if he was still in AEW, people aren't going to be speculating that CM Punk is going to show up to WWE. But happenstance of everything was like, yeah, we should probably announce this beforehand before we get all of these chants and wandering of CM Punk showing up.
Ooh, I just thought of something also. What if this would have been the ultimate troll? If Randy Orton, if they wouldn't announce it ahead of time and Randy Orton came out to Kill Switch Engage, because that was his original song before it was CM Punk's, and everyone would have thought it was CM Punk coming out. That would have been the ultimate troll. I just put that together. Sorry, go ahead.
I actually agree with Jay Fellow Driver here. I don't think there would be CM Punk chants there weren't any last night. I do think like the crowds have moved a little bit past that when it comes to CM Punk chants. They certainly have been chanting. Like, they didn't hijack the AEW show in Chicago basically the day he got fired, and like there really weren't any CM Punk chants off of that. I think last night also, when it comes to AEW, there was no elite presence. That would probably be where you would get those chants is during, if the Young Bucks are out there, especially if they're heels now, or Omega was out there, you would get the chance of them. And they weren't on the show last night, so they didn't give them the opportunity to really do the chant then. But yeah, I also just think that the crowds have kind of moved past it a little bit. That's not to say that maybe if you're going to tease a fifth person and you're in Chicago and everything, and you're not making it very clear, you're giving them an out to do the chant. So it was smart to just go ahead and do Randy, even though I do think that the crowd has moved past it. And clearly for like segments that they don't like, hey, let's just chant for CM Punk. Like, this is circumstances of, hey, there's a mystery person here. Who do you guys think it is here in Chicago? And it's like, oh yeah, that gives them a reason to do the chant, whether it's him or not. So it's going to be Randy, unless Sean has said it. Sean has made it very clear. He's not reporting Punk will not be there. He's not reporting that he will be there. He is reporting what he has been told of things. They ain't going to tell anybody that, yeah, CM Punk is going to show up. If they got CM Punk signed, then they're not going to be like, we don't know. We'll see. Well, and these deals could come together very last minute as well. We just don't know. But for right now, CM Punk not really expected to be there. WWE stance has not changed on that they're not going to have him. And maybe, CM Punk is visiting Connecticut for Thanksgiving for all we know. And having a Thanksgiving dinner with Triple H and
yeah,
what a Thanksgiving dinner that would be.
Oh yeah. Cutting promos on people across the table. I can only imagine like a Thanksgiving with like the McMahons. That would, oh my gosh, that's probably I still think like there are probably decisions that have been made in the WWE in the past where they came down to something like Thanksgiving that was so petty for the McMahons. Like I could see a scenario where like Triple H like didn't pass the salt fast enough to Vince at the table or something, so Vince like kiboshed like an idea he had on the show later on. He's like, they're probably like getting at each other over little like meals that they've had. But anyway, yeah, I expect it to be Randy Orton. I mean, it is going to be Randy Orton, but I don't expect CM Punk to be there. If he shows up, WWE fans are going to go nuts for it. The CM Punk fans will go nuts for it. We'll see where it goes. I don't expect it though. Nor do I think it's a great idea for the WWE, but that's a whole other conversation.
Anything else from Survivor Series that stands out to you?
I'm looking at the card right now. Honestly, no. I mean, the women's War Games match should be good. I mean, I expect both those matches to probably go like an hour long each. So, I mean, that'll be the bulk of the show, will be the two War Games matches. I have pretty much no interest in Zoe Stark versus Rhea Ripley. I like Rhea, though. I got nothing against Zoe. I just don't really care too much for that. Don't care much for Gunther versus The Miz. Love The Miz, lifelong Miz fan. And I love what Gunther's doing as the Intercontinental Champion. But I don't think anybody thinks that The Miz is a threat to winning that. So it's just kind of like whatever.
They did great work on Monday, though.
Like, yeah, no, I like their promo with each other. Yeah. Sorry, did you have more to say about the Miz?
No, I was saying like they did a great job with that. I don't think Miz is gonna win either, but they did great work on Monday to really sell people on that.
And then I'm also seeing here it's listed that Carlito and Santos Escobar are wrestling each other, so that should be good. I didn't know that match was happening. So did Santos turn on the LWO? Is that what happened? And I missed that.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
But is Carlito still in the LWO? Is that
Yes.
still happening? Okay.
Yes.
So Santos is the only one who's out?
Yeah. Ray's injured right now.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Santos beat up Ray.
Oh, I see. Okay. I missed a lot of this stuff. So, but that'll actually probably be pretty good. Like I've always liked Carlito, and Santos is great in the ring. So, but that's all I have is listed is Gunther versus The Miz, which once again, I don't think The Miz has any chance. Rhea versus Zoe Stark, same thing. I think Rhea's for sure going to win that. Carlito versus Santos might be solid. And then they got the 2 War Games matches. That's the show, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say on a scale, I don't really want to put on a scale of 1 to 10 how excited I am. I'm not very. Honestly, I'm more excited for like what's going to be happening on AEW at the same time with their shows. But outside of the men's War Games match, of course, like I'm obviously hyped to see Cody in this thing. I want to see how this thing goes. And I think the women's match is going to be good too. The women's War Games match because there's a lot of really good talent in it. Like it's pretty wild because when doing predictions for this, I'm thinking like. Like for Wrestle Rumble, for instance, there's a lot of picks you got to make for these, make a lot of big decisions. When I look at the women's War Games match, on one side, I'm like, there's no way a team that has Bianca, Charlotte, and Becky is going to lose. You know, throw Shotzi in there, that's cool. But like, we're talking Bianca, Charlotte, and Becky on the same team. But then on the other side, you're like, but then Bayley, Asuka, Io, and Kyrie, like Kyrie just came back. Io's the champ. All of them is Damage Control now. Like, that's a pretty badass group, even though I expect them to eventually turn on Bayley, Asuka, Io, and Kyrie. But like, it actually makes me think like, I don't really know who's going to win, you know, like and I think it's gonna be a really good match with a ton of talent. So I don't want to sit here and like act like this is some cruddy card or whatever, because the majority of the show is going to be the 2 War Games matches, but everything around those matches, I just don't see. It's hard for me. It kind of just looks like it's stuff I'd see on Raw. You know what I mean?
Say that again.
I was saying like the rest outside of the 2 War Games matches, it just kind of looks like stuff I just see on like a random Raw or SmackDown.
I mean, I think it's been a good build. I think it's a good card. That obviously the War Games matches are kind of anchoring this show and stuff. But I think Miz and Gunther have done good work. I understand if you're not sold on Miz as a challenger. Right now, I don't know who's beating Gunther. I don't know.
That's the problem, right? There's no one really
Yeah.
outside of like a major star that like, or if they had Gunther do like the Ultimate Warrior thing where he like put the IC title on the line against the world champion, like that's really what they probably should eventually do, honestly, is like, do you agree with that? Like, I think Gunther at this point just shouldn't even lose the IC title unless it's like in like a unification match.
Here's the thing. He said that, well, I don't like unifying titles and stuff because you need the Intercontinental. Because when they did it with Warrior, they just did the unification, or he won both titles, and then he just dropped the Intercontinental title, right? Like he didn't like lose it.
Which I'd be fine. I bet I'd be okay with that if Gunther won the
world but he
title.
said he doesn't want to do that. He said like he wants to lose. You gotta
put over
Gunther's
someone.
Not gonna lose anything by losing. Like he's gonna, let's say he loses to Chad Gable, whatever. You make Chad Gable. And then Gunther, okay, he loses after this big reign, fine, and then he can be elevated off of that. That's how it's worked. Like Bret Hart lost the Intercontinental title, got elevated. Shawn Michaels, Steve Austin, The Rock, like they all had to lose the title. I guess Austin vacated it a bunch, but they all like lost the title, then got elevated up off of that. It maybe didn't happen immediately, but it happened. And you do the same thing with Gunther. It would be if you do this entire reign. And then that's literally what they did with Samoa Joe, by the way, that we were, upset about is they gave him the longest ROH TV title reign in history and they made nobody off of it. It was just like, hey, I'm going to drop this title, go after the world title. Like you can't do the exact same thing with Gunther.
Well, what the difference with Joe was that he didn't do it like he kind of did. I understand what you're saying. It's almost like he option seed
that's dumb.
No, I agree, but I'm saying like what Gunther would be doing, I guess kind of is the same idea. But I guess here's the difference. In my scenario, Gunther wins the title. I guess that's where my difference is like I would have Gunther beat Rollins or whoever the only person I'd have him lose to in any scenario would maybe be Roman. And even then, that would be an interesting matchup to see an undefeated for this long Gunther against Roman with all the titles on the line. I don't love the idea because Gunther would definitely lose. But like
Roman they should do that title, Roman and Gunther. Roman wins the Intercontinental title, and he just gives it to Solo. Like, here you go, Solo.
I could see. I mean, yeah, that's not a terrible idea. But I guess that's kind of where my head is at. Is like, because we have this other world title. My mind is thinking like Gunther as the IC champion, like beats Rollins or whoever is holding the main world title, and then at that point, if you want to vacate the IC title, then no big deal. But because in that scenario, it elevates the Intercontinental title's relevancy and importance because this guy held this title for so long. No one could beat him for it, and then he parlayed that into becoming the world champion. So yeah. I think that does make the IC title look good in that scenario. But I'd agree with you about the others, where like if he just lost and vacated, it's essentially the same thing as Samoa Joe just vacating. I see that.
I'm with you, and I understand your scenario of, hey, if he wins the world title and then is like, you know, the Intercontinental title, you know, I got this bigger prize now, I'm gonna just let other people fight for the Intercontinental title. At least that makes a little bit more sense because, hey, he won the world title. It's not just like, I'm going to give up this title to go after the world title. And again, he has legitimately said this. He got asked the question, and look, if the booker says do this, Gunther's going to do this. But when he was asked about this scenario, swear to God, they asked him the exact same scenario of, would you give up the Intercontinental title if it meant just getting a shot at the world title, not winning the world title, just getting the world title? He said no. Like,
yeah, that makes sense.
If I'm going to lose this title, like, I'm going to lose it. I'm not just willingly going to give it up. So that's why, like, I think even if he won the world title, he'd be like, no, you're going to have to beat me for both titles now. Good luck.
Yeah. And man, Gunther he's such a rare, like, type of talent for the WWE because it's really hard to explain this. And there's other people that you could obviously do this with, but you're not guaranteed for it to work as well as it has with him. Gunther is such a good long-term champion. And like, that's hard to like, I know it sounds so basic to say that, but like, I'm so used to seeing him, whether it was on the independents, whether it was with the NXT UK championship, whether it's with his IC title, like he has long, meaningful title runs. And then like in the UK, for instance, like by the time Ilya Dragunov choked him out for that title, it was massive because it was huge that Gunther lost, and it made Dragunov on this whole new level. And now look where Dragunov's at. He's like the main guy in NXT, and he'll be a top guy on Raw or SmackDown eventually too, I'd imagine. Like, you know, and a lot of that comes from his feud in it because he lost to Gunther initially, then he got the win back, and it really made him something big there. And I just think that it's just really cool that you can have a guy like Gunther who looks so generic, but wrestles like such a badass and presents himself so well, like in the suit and stuff. Like he comes across like a star, but he looks so normal. But he's put in all this work to lose so much weight. We've seen the body transformation, so we know how dedicated he is and the way that he wrestles and hits people. And it's just like he's so unique, but it just works so well as the guy who can be your long-term champion and just make things mean things and just give value and credibility to stuff. And I think he deserves a lot of credit for that because he's been that guy his entire career everywhere he's wrestled.
We got a couple of super chats before we move on. Juan Perez has been a member for 14 months. Just says meat. Hey, enjoy your Thanksgiving meat, Juan. If you're celebrating Thanksgiving. And Chi-Town Spurs, I apologize that I missed this during the AEW talk. That's on me. Full Gear and this past Dynamite were very similar to me. Enjoyed most of the stuff outside the main event angle. The juxtaposition between Christian's angle and MJF's promo was jarring. We didn't really touch on the Christian stuff. You brought it up a little bit, but yeah, Christian rechristening Luchasaurus to Kill Switch, and then Nick Wayne's mom taking that bump, and then, you know, Edge coming out very late on the save. Edge, like, what were you back there, Adam Copeland? Sorry, what were you back there doing? Like, you saw this was about to happen, and then you decided to eventually make your way out there and running off, but then hitting the concerto on Nick while his mom watched. Do you think that Nick Wayne's mom is going to end up with the patriarch here?
1,000,000%. I was calling for that a while ago. Like I figured that's where this was eventually going. And last night that reaffirmed it. That confirmed it, in my opinion, what we saw last night, because the story's obviously going to be that Edge, like, she's going to sympathize towards seeing her son get concertoed right in front of her, and she's going to think that Edge is actually evil and that Christian was telling the truth this whole time.
He is.
Well, I know you feel that way.
Yeah. All of those are facts.
I've never seen you look more serious about anything in your entire life.
Edge, I have been anti-Adam Copeland. I've been anti-Adam Copeland for the longest time. Everyone knows this. That I've not been. I've told everybody he's been a little bitch for years. Years. This is a 3-year feud I got with the little bitch Adam Copeland. So I'm justified. I'm correct. Why did he take so long to come out there and make this save? Why is he hitting Nick Wayne with this chair when his mom is right there? Didn't care about her thoughts and feelings on it at all. I understand Nick's been a little dick, but still, that's her son. You got to at least ask her, be like, hey, I might have to do this. He's being a bitch. And then so when Nick's mom eventually kicks him in the dick, she will be correct.
Okay, well, I can't really argue with all of that. Now, speaking of little bitch, remember how Christian used to be called the CLB? So
I do remember that.
Tie that in.
Yeah.
Tie that in. Also, don't know if there's anything to this at all. Probably isn't. Probably just reading into this. But if he ever sees this, I know Will Washington, obviously, AEW, right? Will Washington also, massive Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan, just like myself. I see a lot of like Green Ranger, Tommy Oliver, and Nick Wayne. Like when the Green Ranger was initially brought in as the bad guy who was under Rita Repulsa's like mind control before he went to the good side and joined the Power Rangers. I kind of see like that in like the way Nick Wayne comes across to me like the brainwashed Tommy Oliver, evil Green Ranger underneath Christian kind of being like the Rita. So I'm just saying, like, if that's kind of where some of this inspiration is coming from, like, I love that because it is one of my favorite stories in like the history of television. I love the Power Rangers, but just throwing that out there, just throwing a little nod out there to, maybe there's a little bit of that.
I won't bother Will Washington on Thanksgiving. I'll see if there's anything to that though.
Say Stephen Jensen is a massive Power Rangers fan also, and he feels he's seeing some Green Ranger vibes. And this, by the way, is a compliment. This isn't like I
think he would take it that way.
Anything that has to do with the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers in professional wrestling, I'm going to love. There's actually a guy called Wrestle Ranger who wrestles the indies occasionally, who dresses up like the White Ranger and the Green Ranger and stuff, and he does their music and everything. Love it. Anyways, and there's some people in the chat that know what I'm talking about. And I'll also agree, Green Ranger better than White Ranger, even though they're both the same guy. The two best Rangers were the Green Ranger and the White Ranger, the Dragon Zord and the Tiger Zord. Rest in peace to Jason David Frank as well, of course. But no, I definitely think that Mama Wayne is gonna. I mean, the next time we see her, she's gonna be locking lips and sharing tongue with Christian Cage. I think on TV in front of everybody. They're about to like they're about to go in on this. But yeah, I totally see her turning. And I mean, Kill Switch will turn for sure eventually. It looked like he almost did yesterday, but. I love the dynamic of Christian and Nick Wayne, though. I love how he cares so much about Nick. Doesn't care about Luchasaurus because Luchasaurus is a loser. He's causing them problems. He's just supposed to be this like mind-controlled monster helping them out, and he's causing them issues. But Nick can do no wrong. Even to the point where Nick gets down on his knee and Christian's like, no, you don't get on your knee for anybody. Like, you stand up. This guy gets on his knees because he sucks. Like, you stand up. You're the golden child. You're like me. Christian's amazing, dude. It's amazing that this was inside of him for the last 30 years that we've been watching this guy on TV. And like, we're just now seeing like the full potential being realized here. It's crazy. Great, good, amazing for Christian. I love it.
Christian rules. He's always ruled. He's always been better than Adam Edge. And now people are finally starting to realize this. And I'm very happy about that. I was right. I was always right about this. Luchasaurus has not been dressed down like that on national television since his time on Big Brother.
Oh, see, I forgot. I knew him a little bit as like an OVW. I remember him a little bit from there. I forgot that he was a reality TV guy before that you would have known about. Also, do you think that they change his mask now? I feel like they should. Maybe they should kind of like, if they can get away from the dinosaur thing, at least for the time being, and just see if something else works. Because they're also teasing a big reason why Christian has control over him is he's threatening to show his hideous face to the world, which we've been there and done that before and seen how that turned out. When Kane unmasked and they tried to like char his face up and then like like they were like, this doesn't look right, so they just like cut his hair weird or whatever. So hopefully they got a long-term plan for that with Luchasaurus. But I would for Kill Switch, I would change his mask up though. If they want to have him wear a mask, I'd remove the dinosaur regalia and replace it with something different.
I like that Jeff Driver says it should be a light switch. I like that. Just flick it on, flick it off, and then that's the whole gimmick.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to our other spotlight.
Our product is what it is. We're going straight up the middle.
Ronda of Honor.
Yes.
That's it. That's all I got. Rousey of Honor. Rowdy of Honor. Ronda Rousey was tonight. She's making her ROH debut. It was taped last week. It was set up last Thursday at Wrestling Revolver when she teamed with Marina Shafir to face Athena and Billy Starks. And then Athena hit her with the ROH women's title for a DQ. And then the following night at the tapings for ROH, Rousey was there to team with Marina again to face Athena and Billy Starks again. And that match is going to air tonight. Tony Khan says she's not signed or anything like that. Just seems like she wanted to come in, do this. Your thoughts on Ronda of Honor, Jensen?
I mean, it's pretty random that she popped up in Ring of Honor rather than showing up in AEW, because the Ring of Honor, of course, being pre-taped. So people who stayed for was it Collision and Rampage all together that night?
Yeah,
and they did.
Yeah.
So anyone who stayed after and was like, all right, I want some Ring of Honor too, they got a real surprise. Without anyone was expecting Ronda Rousey to show up at that show. Although, I mean, it was California and she had done the thing at Revolver the night before, like you mentioned. But also, excuse me, shout out to Billy Starks for. I'm not an advocate for injuring people, and I'm only saying this because I know Ronda wasn't injured. But when she dumped her on her head with that German suplex, that went viral. That went viral, and I always. Anytime Billy does anything of any importance, I always just go straight to Mouse's Twitter. That's the first thing I do. I'm just like, okay, what's Mouse saying about it? Because he's always so proud of his kid. And this was no different. He was very, very happy with seeing the viral clip of that German suplex.
Ronda even commented on it of something like, I live for this. So it was a positive kind of comment though.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, obviously it makes sense, right? It was Marina Shafir, horsewoman. The thing with Ronda is she accomplished everything she probably ever wanted to in the WWE. She came in, she isn't single-handedly the reason that women main evented WrestleMania for the first time, but she is a big reason why that push was made when it was made. And she completely revolutionized the sport of MMA with how they treat women and allow them to even compete in organizations and stuff. That's a whole other conversation. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I understand why people dislike Ronda. There are unlikable qualities about Ronda Rousey, poor sportsman in cases, sore loser, that kind of stuff. But you can't discredit. She's a legitimate pioneer in martial arts. She's a legitimate pioneer for what she's helped accomplish in professional wrestling, women's main eventing, WrestleMania, that kind of stuff. So she deserves a lot of credit. And I think what she did was she accomplished what she needed to in the WWE. She could only win the title so many more times. She could only have so many more feuds that would matter. She got to do everything she wanted to with Shayna, go out on a feud with her. And then now she can she's more or less kind of in a retirement tour. It's she can pop up in Ring of Honor when she sees fit, when it makes sense, when she can help out her friends and team with her friends like Marina. Ring of Honor also makes sense stylistic wise because it's a kind of a pure wrestling based type show, and she can come in and do her judo moves and armbar people and stuff, and it makes sense on the show. A show with her and Shibata and so on and so forth, it makes sense. And it also, of course, leaves it open to Ronda can do stuff in AEW. So I have no problem personally with her being a part of Ring of Honor, a part of AEW, or just being involved really at all in wrestling. I think she, listen, I don't want it to be one of these things where she gets shoved down everyone's throats if she's like not having great matches and people aren't caring so much about her story. I understand her star power is not what it was years back. I completely understand that. But she still does have name recognition that's going to be more recognizable than pretty much anybody in AEW. If you're just asked the average human being who's Ronda Rousey and who's Hangman Page, like most people are going to know Ronda Rousey. You know what I mean? And so it's just that's just the truth of it is what it is, right? So, so that's a kind of a long way of saying it makes sense for Ronda to work Ring of Honor when it makes sense. It makes sense for her to pop up an AEW eventually if that makes sense. And I think she's just going to do things that make her happy that she wants to be involved with, because she's not in a desperate position. She has made millions and millions of dollars. She has revolutionized multiple industries. Now she can just kind of do whatever she wants.
Yeah, and I think that, working like Revolver, which was for charity, the proceeds from that show and that match went to charity, and then popping up at ROH makes sense. I don't know if she wants to do like a full-time on the road type of thing. She seemed kind of over things by the end of WWE run. I think part of that's on her, part of that was on her booking as well. But if she wants to work ROH, just have fun little matches and just pop up where she wants, fine. Somebody asked if she might work Final Battle. I think that's a possibility. I do. They set up I don't know how the match ended tonight. I don't know the spoiler on that.
I don't either.
Do know, please don't put that in the chat. So yeah, I don't know how that match ended. So, maybe she beats Billy Starks. Maybe she wins or she beats Athena, and that does set up the Final Battle match. Or maybe it was a one-off thing and Athena pins her tonight. And then it's like, okay, well, we don't need to do that match, because it does. They've been setting up the Athena Billy Starks match for Final Battle. We're only a couple of weeks away from Final Battle, and they don't have anything announced for that show. So you would hope that it gets something going for Final Battle at some point soon. So maybe it will be Ronda and Athena, depending on how the match tonight plays out. We shall see on that. The other spotlight is MLW and Alex Hammerstone returning to join the World Titan Federation, the WTF. Not only Alex Hammerstone, but bring in a spotlight guest, previous member of the Creator Spotlight, Josh Bishop, with him. So Josh Bishop was with Alex Hammerstone, joining WTF with Matt Cardona and MSL, and destroying Alex Kane and Jacob Fatu. And now we have the World Titan Federation with Alex Hammerstone, Josh Bishop, Matt Cardona, MSL. Who am I missing? I feel like there's one. And Tom Lawler. Yes.
I think they're recruiting more based on the spoilers that are upcoming, but I haven't read the spoilers. Yeah, but they're it's a growing group. So yeah, man. So first I'll touch on Hammerstone real quick. That was I've seen, I guess I could see this either way, obviously, and I don't know one way or another, but the way it seems this played out was Hammerstone actually was like trying to get out of MLW, and they came up with this no, granted, we could have just been worked for the entire thing. It could have just been
here's what Sean reported on it, and I'm gonna trust Sean on this. So he said that Hammerstone returned to MLW, joining World Titan Federation, with being noted that he was able to secure his quote-unquote release from MLW. This led to many people speculating and even outright proclaiming that the entire situation was a work, which it wasn't and isn't. Hammerstone clarified on Twitter that coming back to do the World Titan Federation angle helped secure him his release. We're told that is actually true. And then Hammerstone reached an agreement with MLW to work this angle and is finishing up at the end of 2023. This deal was put together just days before Fightland. So it does seem like, unless no deal is reached to keep Hammerstone with the company, he's basically agreed to do this angle. And then he is, going to finish up with MLW.
Yeah. Okay. So I don't want to speak for anybody because I'm not in the head of Hammerstone. I'm not in the head of Court Bauer, but like this seems to me like the perfect solution for everybody, because Hammerstone and the company don't have to have this giant public falling out and have to, you don't have to deal with this for months and months of like, I want out, you can't get out. I want out, you can't get out. it keeps Hammerstone in a storyline that matters on the show. So he'll still be presented in like the upper tier of the show, and he'll still have matches that matter against other top stars in the company. He'll probably team up with other members of WTF. So it keeps him in something that matters without him having to challenge for the world title or the openweight title necessarily. So it keeps him in a good spot on the show. It gets it to where he can fulfill his obligation to the company without having to get out of the contract early. It lets MLW finish out his contract, and everyone just on the understanding now of like, unless things change and Hammerstone decides he wants to stay after this, which I'm not expecting, but who knows? Then it's amicable though on both sides. Like the contract ends, he's out there. Everyone's fulfilled what they needed to fulfill, and like that's just good business. Like it's and Hammerstone would be free to go do whatever he wants after that if he doesn't want to stay. I feel like this is the best case scenario for everyone.
And I imagine that, he got his release from MLW to join World Titan Federation. I imagine if they don't come to an agreement at the end of this deal, he will be released from the World Titan Federation, and they will cite budget cuts as why they needed to release him.
Yes, exactly.
And then he will be free to go wherever he wants.
So, because for those of you who may not understand what this is, like WTF, World Titan Federation, this is a very WWE influenced group, right? So what Jeremy's saying would make perfect sense for like, you can wish people, luck on their future endeavors and stuff when they leave the group. And I mean, there's a lot of stuff that they can lean into with this. Also, it's worth bringing up. I just thought it was funny. WTF was the name in South Park. That was the name of their wrestling federation.
Yeah.
I thought it was kind of funny. Now that's all, Hammerstone. So good to see him back. Good to see that. It seems like, once again, best case scenario for everybody. Hammerstone fulfills his contract. MLW doesn't have to worry about all this extra stuff. And, we'll figure things out later on if he wants to leave. Now, Joshua Bishop. Okay. I have been a fan of Joshua Bishop since this guy, I can't say since day one because I wasn't in the training room with him, but I literally saw, probably within his first 3 matches he ever had in his career. He used to travel to Nashville, right when he was training and getting started. I'd imagine he was in a car with Guarini and those guys. And he would come in, and he also Maserati West Barkley and these AIW type dudes, before they became AIW major stars there. When they were just starting out, they were getting a lot of reps in the Southeast and stuff. When I first started watching Joshua Bishop wrestle, just to get on the shows, he initially got over in wrestling. It's the first time he got over in front of crowds for real. I shouldn't say for real. There's so much I can talk about with Josh because people might not even know. Josh has a history with Tom Lawler that goes all the way back to him literally starting in pro wrestling. Him and Filthy Tom took him under his wing day one. So this is a long time coming of them teaming together on a big show like MLW. But just so he would have stuff going on and to create a name for himself, Joshua Bishop came to Southern Underground Pro, Sup Graps in Nashville. He was put in just to get a rep on the show. They put him in a trick-or-treat battle royal around Halloween time, where everyone just dressed up in costumes and stuff. He, on just a whim, because he probably had no idea he was getting booked for the match, or he probably literally thought he was coming in to just help set up the ring and stuff and meet people. He wound up drawing whiskers on his face and just called it and wrote the word slutty cat on his chest and just went out there and wrestled this slutty cat and just got over. Everyone was like, this rules. Next thing he knows, he's in a feud with Alley Cat versus Cat. And this dude has evolved so much over the span of time, over the last 5 years or whatever. So to see where he's at now, after everything he's done in AIW, being basically the top guy of AIW for a while now, everywhere else he's wrestling, he's popped up and been a monster in JCW. He pops up as a major star in BLP, everywhere. He popped up in MLW, and they immediately made him seem like he was a big deal. Commentary says, who is this monster? I'm getting Sid Vicious vibes from this guy. And he hits a black hole slam. He hits a choke slam. He does his Bishop bomb, an outsider's edge into a power bomb. I'm not going to spoil anything coming up for MLW, but you can tell Joshua Bishop is in for a big push with this World Titan Federation. He has history with Matt Cardona as well. The two of them have battled many times in AEW for their intense and absolute championships. Joshua Bishop's the man. I've been saying it for years. Why is this guy not signed? I know he's gotten looks from other companies over the last few years, and we've talked to we had John Thorne on this show before, didn't we? I know.
Yeah.
I remember talking to him not too long ago, and it was here on the Spotlight. Even he was saying the same thing. We're like, Josh Bishop prints money. We have no idea why he has not been picked up by somebody. Like, I know for a fact there is interest before in Impact. I know other major companies have been looking at him, and it's just like, I know he's had like certain tryouts and stuff, and I'm just like, what is taking so long? Kudos to MLW. Like, get him on the screen. Push him. The only problem they're going to have, I'm going to call it right now, and I know MLW pays at least some sort of attention to the stuff that me and you say about their company and stuff. The only problem they're going to have with Josh Bishop is he's going to outkick the coverage in that company quick. Like, because once AEW and WWE really start realizing what he's doing on MLW, he's not going to be available long. I can just feel it. Like, he's just so tailor-made especially for the WWE. He'd just be so perfect in the WWE system. So I think MLW needs to heavily push him, but just knowing, like, I just feel like he's just one of those guys. Once the right eyes get on him, he's just going to be, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's hard for me to put it into words, but I've just seen such a massive star to Josh Bishop for so long, and now I can see it's finally like about to be happening. And MLW is just going to get this whole new set of eyes on him, and then, I mean, before we know, we're not going to be able to book him for interviews anymore. So like, I'm gonna try to get Josh on soon for y'all again, but because I feel like he's not going to be available much longer. So,
and that's always the thing with any company that's basically not AEW and WWE is you are almost showcasing these guys for AEW and WWE. And I think everyone understands that. Of course, if you're MLW or any of these other companies, you want these guys to honor their contract. And, like, hey, if you got a contract, then yeah, sure, honor that and then go wherever you want to go type of thing. And then, sadly, the way it kind of works out is people want their releases because, WWE is interested now. I don't know if they're going to be interested in 6 months from now when my contract expires. So that's when you just got to kind of tell it's a balance of things with wrestlers and contracts. And it's like, okay, well, I'm only going to sign a short-term deal because WWE might be interested in me in 6 months, but then MLW or any other company might be, well, we want you on your year contract. Like, you just got to weigh this stuff out. Yes, Josh Bishop, he's been on our show. We've always saw him as a guy who he's got the look, he's got the presence, he works well. He's gonna at some point probably be in one of these top organizations. MLW is going to give him a chance to work a television style and see how that goes for him. And it is a stepping stone to potentially bigger things for someone like Josh Bishop and for a lot of different people. And we'll see if that gets utilized. I do think that, or WWE might be calling sooner rather than later with that, but we shall see. And I don't know what the contract situation is with Bishop either, how long MLW has him, if MLW has him under any type of deal like that. And it's not just a per appearance deal, which I know they also do. So.
Yeah, I don't know, and I'm looking up right now what is, because he's still only in his early 20s. I've seen if it's listed on his cage match here by chance, but I'm gonna guess he's still like 25 or younger. I mean, so let's see, Josh Bishop cage match. Let's see if they have his age on here. They do not. But I mean, he's been wrestling for like 6-7 years now. And he started I'm pretty sure he started as a teenager. He was like 19 when I interviewed him the first time. So he's probably right around 25. So he's in that pocket of youth where like the WWE would still be very, very interested. That's not to say WWE is the only place, by the way. Like, I think he'd work anywhere. It's just, there's very few people that I see that I'm like, WWE, like, because that would be so risky, right? Like, you're at the mercy of like the whole system having to get behind you to even have a shot there. So most people, I don't say that. Most people, I'm like, I'd go Impact, I'd go AEW, I'd go New Japan. I just don't see WWE. I just don't see it in the WWE. I don't think it's going to work for them in the WWE for this reason or that reason. I think the best scenario for Josh is the WWE. Like, I think he'd be perfect there. So
I wish to say what the future is with Josh Bishop, but I imagine the future is pretty bright for him,
Yeah,
whether it's
he's the
MLW
man,
or
dude.
anywhere else. All right.
And also, I need to bring up real quick. I hope Maserati West finds his way to MLW too, if that's what he wants to do. Because Wes Barkley's been putting in work just as long as Josh has. Usually doesn't get nearly the same kind of like credit or attention as Josh does, but he's so damn good too, whether as a tag team partner for him, a singles guy himself, or as like a manager, cornerman type guy. Like I hope Wes Barkley also finds his way there if that's what he wants to do, because he doesn't get enough love in my opinion, and both guys are great. So
move on to the indie spotlight. Wes Barkley is great, by the way. I know he's worked at AEW a couple times, so hopefully he continues to do big things.
I'm gonna give a big motherfucking shout out.
Indie spotlight, Stephen Jensen. Chris Hero is back in independent wrestling. He took on Timothy Thatcher at West Coast Pro. He set the team. What's the match? Team with Kenta against.
Yeah, it's against. It was someone who wrestled earlier in the show against. Oh my god, it was someone who wrestled the first match of the show on West Coast. I'm blanking on who it was now. I literally talked about this on Sunday too. That's sad.
I'm looking it up, and of course I can't find it right off the bat. So well prepared here.
Here, West Coast Pro Cage match. I'll find
the
it.
Show.
Because it was someone who wrestled.
It's Chris Hero and Kenta against Titus Alexander and Kevin Blackwood.
Blackwood, who's wrestled in the first match of the show. That's what it was. Okay, Blackwood and Titus. Yes. So Hero also teased that he was going to retire after the match. Like he beat Thatcher. He beat him by submission with a Fujiwara armbar, as a matter of fact. And after the match, he took his boots off, and he basically said he was trolling in that he's not retiring. And then he set up this tag team match. So, like Dominic Guarini said on our show just a couple weeks ago, or I guess last week. He mentioned, and you put it up on the website too, that you transcribed the comment, how, just wrestling is just better with Chris Hero being back. And I agree with that. Really good match with Thatcher. Didn't really miss a beat. And, it was cool. It's cool. Like Rachel Ellering was there, of course, too, and stuff, like to congratulate him after the match and whatnot. So, I mean, it's just cool. It's cool seeing that Chris Hero is back. It's cool that he's, doing everything he's doing with like the booking and helping out with West Coast Pro. And I mean, it really opens it up. I'd imagine he'll at least have some matches in AEW at some point in the future. I mean, I feel like, he's just kind of dipping his toes back in, but dipped him in pretty deep, like coming in wrestling that badass match with Thatcher right off the bat. So good to see Chris Hero back in wrestling, man.
Yeah, it is. And like Guarini said, like Chris Hero is just going to elevate everyone on the independent scene, whether they're veteran guys who he's going to work with, or whether they're young guys to work with and, teach them different things. Like having someone who's been around the game as long as Chris Hero has, and also like still works behind the scenes with AEW. Yes. So is not only like working guys, but also just kind of like scouting guys and working with him in the ring as scouting partners. I know he's worked a lot with West Coast Pro. He's been the West Coast Pro, the matchmaker, but that's basically just the on-scene role for stuff he's been doing behind the scenes to where matches can make sense. But I listened to a lot of Chris Hero interviews in the lead up to his return last week. And he talked about guys like Titus Alexander. Like Titus Alexander was in Japan last week, I think working for Noah. And he was like, watching him in Japan, like that's like one of my kids that I get to watch Japan. I'm living vicariously through him. Kevin Blackwood, same thing. Like these West Coast Pro guys who have been staples of this company. It's like, oh yeah, like I've watched them grow up. I've helped them, and I can continue to help them on a different level by actually getting in the ring with them and working in front of a live crowd with them. So it's good for independent wrestling that Chris Hero is back. Kenta is of course making towns now. He's been kind of doing one-off shots for independent wrestling. That's always been Kenta. He's going to be in AEW this weekend working with Guarini. It's going to be West Coast Pro next weekend, teaming with Hero against Alexander and Blackwood. The more of these guys who have been around and have done this at a high level, and have that experience can work with the younger guys and kind of teach them various things and get actual in-ring experience with them. I think it's better for independent wrestling.
Yeah, I agree. And also to your point with like the scouting and stuff and getting in the ring with these guys in front of a crowd, I would, if you're an AEW fan, I would start paying attention to like someone like Titus Alexander, especially because those will be the people that I think you start seeing show up like in AEW too. Like the people that are who have been wrestling for companies like West Coast Pro at the top of their card for a while, like former champions, long time, kind of like backbones of those companies, guys like Titus and guys like Kevin Blackwood and stuff like that still have plenty that they can accomplish on the indie scene, of course. I mean, there's still a lot they can do, but they're going to have that in there with like Hero being able to tell someone in AEW, like, hey, I just got in the ring with Titus Alexander. He's been doing this in this company. I just wrestled against him at this show. The kid's ready. You know, like he, like Chris Hero can be kind of like that litmus test for AEW for certain independent talents where it's like you go in the ring with Chris and Chris can kind of give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down as far as like whether he feels like you're ready to be a part of AEW Ring of Honor. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing all across the board for Chris Hero being back in the ring for sure.
And then my indie spotlight is WrestleCade this weekend. It's one of the biggest kind of convention weekends of the year. I think WrestleCon is obviously the other big one, and then GCW the collective. But that's a lot of, I mean, that's part of like WrestleCon and WrestleMania weekend, like non-wrestling, like non-WWE centric weekends. WrestleCade's kind of become like the big convention weekend. And it's even bigger this year because GCW is part of it. It's the first year that GCW is part of the weekend. So we're gonna get like getting Insane Clown Bussy against the Mortons and who's teaming? George South is there as well. You know, we're getting Joey Janela is wrestling on this show at GCW. Cardona is going to be there. It's a big weekend with GCW there. They do the WrestleCade Super Show as well. I think Mickey James is part of this. She's part of at least the convention as part of it anyway. And we were supposed to have Bryan Danielson, it was honestly built around Bryan Danielson this WrestleCade weekend. Fortunately, he couldn't make it due to the eye injury, which sucks. But yeah, it's Billy Starks is going to be there. So I'm now looking at the card. You know, we're getting Matt Cardona and Mike Bailey, which should be a great match. Masha Slamovich against Jordan Oliver, Blake Christian, Billy Starks, Joey Janela, Mance Warner, Santana Jackson against Michael Jackson. I'm going to try my damnedest to get an interview with Santana Jackson as during the weekend. So I'm looking forward to it, especially one. I always look forward to WrestleCade weekend, just because I get to hang out with some friends. You know, Sean's going to be there. John Alba is going to be there. So some cast is going to be there. So like a lot of the good pals are going to be there and everything. But now that we've done this show and doing In the Weeds as well, we got a lot of independent talent on these shows. And now with WrestleCade, before we talked to Cole about Cole's going to be there. Shit, I just learned Cole was going to be there when we did the interview last night. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Because we've had so many independent talent on these shows, and before WrestleCade was a lot of kind of older veteran guys who weren't in WWE anymore, maybe made cameo appearances. Some AEW talent would show up, like in pastures, like the Bunny would be there. Taya wasn't signed to AEW at the time, but like some Impact talent would be there and everything. But it wasn't a whole lot of like independent talent. It was largely Impact talent and older stars from the past that would kind of be, or free agents, just some AEW talent, or just like free agent kind of talent. But now with GCW being there, it's a lot of independent talent. And, you know, since we've done this show and In the Weeds, like we've been able to talk to a lot of independent talent. So it'll be cool to actually go there and be like, oh, hey, we just had Joey on last week. We just had Cole on. Garini was not there because he's working Kenta this weekend. But, you know, a lot of these talents that we've spoken to, now we actually kind of have a rapport with. And so I will hopefully be able to, I feel a lot more comfortable like talking to these people and hopefully bringing people some interviews at WrestleCade with some independent talent, because Sean will of course get all the big names and everything, but hopefully some of the indie guys will talk to me.
Oh yeah, they'll be down. You'll be able to get plenty of interviews with those guys. I regret not getting an interview with Santana Jackson at center stage. Like he was right there. I could have totally done it. The thing with Santana Jackson to me that's been so confusing is how he's just now, it's building up so much now. And I've watched him for so long. I just didn't think it was that big of a deal. And then I realized after the center stage show, everyone's pretty much only talking about Santana Jackson. I'm like, shit, I should have interviewed him. He was standing right in front of me. I could have easily done it. So hopefully you get an interview with him. He seemed very available when I was at center stage. I pulled my buddy Mose and Gringo Loco over with me instead, but I could have easily been like, yo, Santana, let's talk a little bit about what you're doing over here. So yeah, you'll be able to get good interviews, I think, over the weekend. When does it all start?
Starts Friday. Starts tomorrow. Yeah. The GCW show is tomorrow. I'll be driving down there tomorrow, waking up whenever I wake up, probably about 9 o'clock, and drive down there. The GCW show is tomorrow night. The live podcast with Matt Hardy is tomorrow night as well. I'll probably check that out because Alba's going to be hosting that, and Matt Hardy will be there. And Matt's always been, I've never actually met him in person, but any exchange we've had, he's always been really kind. And then Saturday throughout the day is the big fan fest where you go to all the rooms and stuff and meet all the wrestlers. And that's where I'll be trying to get some various interviews, talking with some independent talent. So some of the people who are there, these are sort of the headlining names, the Hardys, Matt and Jeff, Mandy Rose, Andrade is going to be there as well. Arn Anderson, Ricky Steamboat. Sorry. Tully Blanchard, Kane, Lex Luger, Conan, I'll see if he listens to our podcast, Jake Roberts, Vikingo, Scott Steiner, of course, the Rock and Roll Express. I've been trying to get people to punch Ricky Morton in the face, the Lucha Bros, Billy Gunn, Jerry Lawler, Matt Cardona, Mickey James. They're all, those are kind of the big, again, for the most part, it's a lot of nostalgia people, and then people who might be signed to AEW or your kind of free agent names. These have always kind of been the people they would attract for these shows. This year, again, different because GCW is going to be there, so you got the GCW names as well, which again I'm kind of more looking forward to than the older names who probably won't talk to me. They'll talk to Sean, not me. Yeah,
you'll have a good time though, man. I may need to hit you up to see if there's anyone's autograph I need while you're there. See what people are signing and stuff. Yeah,
I mean, I'm sure everybody's gonna be signing stuff. But
no, I mean, it depends on what they've got and who's around you and stuff like that. But that's a really good opportunity for autographs. I've gone very, very overboard on my collecting habits and spending and stuff. So I may be hitting you up about that.
Just let me know
for sure. Also, just really I wanted to mention really quick. One other, not really an indie spotlight, but something I just wanted to bring up real quick that I think is worth people knowing about on the radar. Really interesting right now what's happening with Warhorse, who's a former IWTV Independent Wrestling World Champion. He was a champion for 2 years straight or whatever it was, and he was the main guy on that platform pretty much throughout the pandemic. And ever since losing that title, he really hasn't he's been this funk for over a year now. And he had that thing in AEW where he popped up and they didn't sign him after he had the Cody match and stuff. And he's just been in this funk. And I've seen him pop up on the Moist Wrestling League and stuff. We talked about that a little bit. But he cut a really interesting he did a promo for a video that he put up on Twitter that I think people should check out of him. He's out of character, basically explaining his where he's at in wrestling right now and how he's falling out of love with it, and he needs IWTV won't answer his calls, and all he's trying to do is prove he can still be the IWTV champion. He's never gotten a rematch for this thing. So coming out of that promo, it was found out through, I think it was during the H2O Uncharted Territory, they might have mentioned it, but Marcus Mathers, he recently had a match with Alec Price, who's the current IWTV champion. And basically, long story short, coming up soon, it's going to be Marcus Mathers versus Warhorse. And the winner of that is going to be the next challenger for Alec Price's IWTV championship. So I just thought people should just know about that because it's a good storyline, but there's a lot of realness in what's going on with Warhorse right now. I feel And also Marcus Mathers, one of the top guys on the indies, especially in like the H2O scene. So that's going to be a big match for the indies, Warhorse versus Mathers. And then the winner of that facing Alec Price is a big deal for that title. So I want to throw that out there too for people over there on IWTV. If you want something to kind of catch up on over like the Thanksgiving break, I'd kind of get familiarized with what's going on there for Alec Price's next, big defense.
If you're going to be at WrestleCade this weekend, come say hi. Again, I don't know if we have a table set up. We have in the years past, like a Fightful table where Sean will do like interviews and stuff. But come say hi if you're around, or if you see me. Just say hi. I'll be there. I like talking to people and interacting with people. Everything from my experience of like meeting wrestling fans, some people online can certainly be weird, but everyone I've ever met has been really cool. So yeah, if you're at WrestleCade and you see myself or Sean, say hello, and we'll hang out, and should be a fun weekend. I'm going to be there until Tuesday. The convention only lasts until Sunday, but I'm going to be there a little bit longer. My mom's visiting, so I'm going to hang out,
nice.
spend time with my mom.
That's awesome. Hey, just one more thing for WrestleCade, or when you're meeting people, man, make sure if you get in any confrontations that Cass is nearby recording it, so that so we see it.
If you're by Cass, you will probably get into a confrontation. That's the thing is. Yeah, Cass will be nearby if there's a confrontation, because he's probably part of it in some way. Just some not fans. Trouble seems to follow him. So yeah.
There you go.
All right, let's do our picks for the Wrestle Rumble. We got the names. I'm gonna put them in here. All right, 3 names we're drawing. I'll let everybody know who they are. If you win, send a message to Stephen Jensen on Twitter. The first name, longtime viewer of the show, pal of the show, Kai, has been picked. That is the first name. So Kai, send Jensen a message so he can get you hooked up.
I'm opening my DMs right now so everyone can message me. So
there you go. All right. The next name picked is King Ellie Show. So King Ellie Show, send Jensen a message. He'll get you set up for Wrestle Rumble. And the final name picked for the Wrestle Rumble entries into the Survivor Series pick'em, Cena drawing, and Randy Savage pick'em, or Randy Savage drawing, sorry. Another pal of the show, JK Shaw. So JK, send Jensen a message on Twitter. He'll get you hooked up on there. Again, that's King Ellie Show, Kai, and JK Shaw. Send Jensen a message. He'll get you all set up for that. And if you did not win, head over to WrestleRumble.com. It's $1 to enter into this. Again, $1 for the raffles, which is a Cena package that includes the legacy belt, a Randy Savage package that includes a legacy belt, or you can do the Survivor Series pick'em where first prize is $1,000. So $1 and you could win like $500 worth and up of prizes, because I know those legacy titles are at least like $500.
Yes, and then the Wrestle Rumble, the War Games, Survivor Series War Games entries are only $12 for one entry, and then you can do 5 entries for $32. You get a little bit of a deal there. So I would recommend, if you don't win, like Jeremy said, jump over to WrestleRumble.com. But congratulations to the winners who got a free Survivor Series pick'em entry, and also entries to the Cena Celebration and the Madness Legacy Championship belt drawings. And like Jeremy said, all you got to do, just the cutoff is going to be by the end of SmackDown tomorrow. So make sure you DM me at @FightTalk_. I should probably put that on the screen just so.
We know Kai and Jake. So if they do not get back to you, we can reach out to them. I don't know King Ellie Show, who that might be on Twitter, but
King Ellie Show. If you see this, Kai and Jake, FightTalk_ on X, Twitter, whatever. King Ellie Show, same thing. Just hit me up on Twitter. Literally, just say I won, or just Wrestle Rumble. Just say something. I'll see the DM, and all I have to do from you guys is just get your email addresses, and Wrestle Rumble will send you the entries on Saturday morning. Super easy, totally free.
There you go. All right, Jensen, are you gonna stick around for the outro?
So it depends. It depends on when my brother gets here, because we got to go over to my parents for the NFL game. So I may or may not be here after the interview. I don't know yet.
Okay. We'll go ahead and plug everything now then.
You can follow me on X at FightTalk_. You can use code FightTalk on independentwrestling.tv, and listen to the Fightful Select Weekender podcast. That's every Sunday, sometimes Mondays. over on FightfulSelect.com, mainly cover the world of independent professional wrestling. And also check out Fightful Select for, random interviews that drop, like with me with indie wrestlers and some of these shows and stuff. And also on the website, Jeremy does a great job of like transcribing conversations we have with people. So you can check that out over on Fightful.com. I have a little authors page, so you can just hit, I think you can just type my name, Stephen Jensen. I'm also in like the description, I think, if you like the About Us, you can like click me there, I think. Anyway, if you find my stuff, I have a whole list of everything I do over on the website, and it's an easy kind of hub for the stuff that I've got going on with Fightful. So that's unless I'm back here after the interview. I hope y'all enjoy this interview with Cole Radrick, returning guest, one of our good buddies, joining the show once again. Just returned from the UK, a trip over there, got a lot going on. New tag team with Alec Price, the Garbage Daddies. Talk a little bit about that. And I hope everybody who's watching this and listening to this has a happy Thanksgiving, whether you believe in the idea of Thanksgiving or whatever. Like, just I hope that this is a good time for you to either spend time by yourself, maybe have some time off work, maybe spend some time with family or friends, whatever it is. I hope you guys all just have like a good day or like a good few days. And anybody who's out there that's working retail or something like that, like I feel for you. I've been there many, many years. Everyone who's listening to this, be nice to people who are working retail. Be nice to people that you're dealing with that are. I promise you, I get it. They're getting paid to do their jobs, but I guarantee you, most of those people really would like to be with their families too, and they don't want to spend their days and their holidays getting yelled at over stuff that they don't have any control over. That a lot of them aren't getting paid a whole lot of money to even be there to begin with, and they're there doing everything they can to help y'all out and get you the things you want and you need for your friends and your families. So be kind to the people that are working over the holidays, that are helping you with stuff at the places you go to. And that's pretty much everything I'll leave it on. Happy holidays, Skol Vikings. Need them to win this weekend. And that's it.
Appreciate you as always, Jensen. Happy Thanksgiving, buddy. Hope you enjoy the time with your family. Again, very thankful to do this show, to do all that we're able to do here with Fightful. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the chat. I'll be back after the interview.
I do want to say that real quick because it is Thanksgiving and we are thankful. I am very, very thankful for being a part of Fightful. I very much am. I've said it 1,000 times in this show. I want people to know that I honestly really do mean that. It's never lost on me the amount of people that like our show, the amount of wrestlers and promoters and other fans and stuff that want to be a part of our show. It means a ton as someone who's a lifelong wrestling fan who started off doing this with my own podcast that, I had to grind to get anybody to listen to or anybody to want to be a part of for years and years, to the work that I did with MMA on Point that was in the MMA realm that brought me back over into the wrestling realm, and everything that I've gone through with this journey of being a wrestling fan and wrestling podcasting and everything, and we'll say the wrestling podcasting stuff since probably 2017. But before that, I was doing radio in college, in 2010 or whatever. So like, it's been a long journey, and I've been with Fightful now on a consistent basis. My 5-year anniversary is coming up for the weekend or like this week. So I just wanted to thank everybody for that. Like without you guys watching and supporting and other wrestlers, and especially without you, Jeremy, who without you, I wouldn't even be on the show. So I don't want anyone to ever think this ever gets lost on me. I joke around a lot about stuff. I downplay a lot of stuff, but I do take this very seriously in that perspective of like, I understand that I'm very, very fortunate to even be a part of Fightful, to be on this channel, to have a weekly show here, to have a weekly show on Select, to have any kind of clout or any kind of rapport at all in the independent wrestling world. Like it means a ton to me. So I just want everyone to know that I really, really appreciate y'all. And I appreciate you, Jeremy. I know we joke around about a lot of stuff, but this show means a lot to me, and I really do appreciate it.
I know you always tell me that, and I'm
afraid of us getting canceled every week. I literally tell you often, I'm like, dude, this is going to be it. Like Sean's going to see it and just be like, you know what? We're moving the show somewhere else, or you're done. Or like, I always feel like we're on the brink of getting canceled, but we aren't. We do a good job.
I have told you many times that I'm pretty secure at where I'm at Fightful, and I feel like it would take a lot for Sean to be like, yeah, you can't do this anymore. And I think he knows how much work I put into everything, but how much work we put into this as well. So I don't think you ever have to worry about this show getting canceled.
No, I know. That's just where my mind is. I just want people to not think wherever, like, at least me, I'm never like really coasting or like, sometimes I get comfortable and stuff like everyone does. And that's a good place to be in, feeling comfortable. But like, I'm also aware, like a lot of the interviews that I get, a lot of people wouldn't want to talk to me if I didn't work for Fightful, like there's a lot of podcasters that are really struggling out there to get interviews and stuff. And like, it's a lot easier when you have the name Fightful working with you and stuff. And it's just they're to be able to go to independent shows and for people to even care that I'm there taking pictures and stuff and interviewing wrestlers. It's stuff just isn't lost on me at all. And it's a grind. So and it's a mega grind when I've got a full-time job on top of it. This is my part-time stuff I'm talking about with Fightful. Like I have a full-time 40-hour plus a week job that I do outside of this. So like I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. Thank you everybody for supporting us. And hopefully we'll get t-shirts and stuff one day. I brought that up for the last year plus, but hopefully we'll have some way of you guys also showing support to the show sometime soon too. Well, who knows? Maybe for the holidays we can convince them to put out spotlight stickers or something that has our logo on it, so you guys can get some of that.
We'll put out spotlights. Yeah, I don't know how that would work, but I appreciate you, Jensen. Yes, Rim T. Sorry, it is too late for Wrestle Rumble. We have done the draw.
A little too late. Hey, but next contest that Wrestle Rumble does, like they haven't given me like a full on like yes every time, but like at this point I pretty much just hit Matt up over there and he's just like, here's the money, here's the stuff. And I mean, it's a good relationship. So we should have more Wrestle Rumble stuff to give away to you guys. And also Remy T, keep a lookout for my Twitter and Jeremy's. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if you want to do a giveaway, we can. If we want to do one maybe off like the main Fightful Twitter or something, I can do one off mine. We'll give away some more Wrestle Rumble entries between now and Friday night for you guys. If you didn't have a chance to get one today on the show.
There you go. All right. Again, thank you, everybody. We do have an interview to get to.
Yes, Cole Radrick, Raddy Daddy. Bad intro, by the way. Messed up my own first name on the intro. Sorry, I lost you, Jeremy. Jeremy froze right during the thing. He probably thinks I'm talking over him. Sorry, no. I realized like you were talking while I was talking, but it's because you were frozen.
Yeah.
I was just saying for everyone who's about to watch this interview, I botched the intro of my own first name. So Cole starts calling me like whatever I called myself, and I was like, I don't know, I messed up. That's the downside of being friends with people you do interviews with sometimes is like we're just like kicking it before the interview. And then it's like, okay, we'd actually need to like actually do an interview now. And now I need to get into that mode. So I botched the intro. Not as bad as what I did with Teal, but we never aired that. So
yeah, you mentioned that though. People know what.
Oh, that's true. I did.
All right, everybody, here we go. Cole Radrick back in the creator spotlight. Everyone enjoy our talk with Cole, where Jensen tried to ask wrestling questions, and I was just trying to get him to punch people in the face for me.
Welcome to the Creator Spotlight here on the Spotlight on Fightful. I am Stephen Jensen, joined as always by Jeremy Lambert. And our guest today is a returning guest. I'll try not to botch the intro too much worse, so just mess my own name up. We have the former BLP heavyweight champion, DDT Ironman heavyweight metal champion, heavy metal champion, can't even say that, GCW Extreme champion. I mean, I can go on and on with the accolades. The King of Red Ship Mountain. We have the Ratty Daddy, the Bloody Buddy, the Wild Heart. I can go on and on. Cole Radrick is back on the show, everybody. Cole, how you been, man?
What is up, Steven? It's Steven?
Yeah.
Whatever we're rocking with, and my friend Jeremy. What is up, pal? Starting who do not know because I am an idiot. So shout out to the boys for rolling with the punches with me. And we're here, baby. We're living.
I was we were talking
6 feet tall, by the way. Cole Radrick is a confirmed giant at 6 feet tall. That is a confirmed thing from years ago. I like to throw it in every now and then just to remind people.
We were talking off air that we could probably do about 3 hours with Cole easily. And today we actually have like a hard cut at 8 o'clock, so about 45 minutes. And the non-portion of this is going to be longer than the actual interview portion with the way we were going there. Just us bullshitting off air was going to end up being longer.
Like,
that's why my intro is so bad, by the way. It's like we were just talking for the last like 5 minutes or whatever. I'm like, I guess we can just hit record and do this officially. I'll just do an intro real quick and we'll get going. So Cole's one of the hosts. We know Cole very well. So
half the time, as soon as I like pop into the stream room or whatever, I always forget that we're not just recording right off the bat. So I'm like, all right, like we're just bullshitting right off the gate. So half
Usually
the time it feels like we talked for like 15 to 20 minutes. And we're like, all right, we actually have to start recording at some point, which I mean, you know.
Usually you're flipping one of us off and, doing. Today you were flashing us for people who.
You didn't record that though, which I am
No,
really
it's not
happy
recorded.
about.
No.
Because usually, like, on everything else I hop on for with Fightful, like there's also like the cool like little nicknames and shit. And it usually pops to you or Steven or Mike or whoever it might be, Reg. And like I'll get a reaction. And then like I saw you guys talking. So I was like, all right, I'll do a quick little flash. And then all of a sudden I see myself on the screen and I'm like, well, shit.
All right, let's jump into some stuff here. I have a very important question for you, Cole. We spoke with the other show that I do with Joel. We spoke with Effie today. We don't care about Joel, but we spoke with Effie, a person very well, and asked them to say something mean about you because I thought it was funny to ask. And the meanest thing he said about you right now is he misses you and he's seen you enough. So the way I'm going to put this is, why have you been not reading these messages? Why have you not been hanging out with me? Why are you a bad friend? That's what I surmise from Effie's answer of say something mean about Cole Radrick.
So F doesn't have his emotional support around, which is at any point in time during a weekend of a show that he just to go just sometimes it's just a scream, sometimes it's the yell, sometimes it's just like 5 seconds of his giving me a look like or it's whether it's hey, I went to the gas station and get a drink or two or whatever. Like that's my I don't reject I respond to his Instagram reels that he sends me. Anybody knows me, I'm like a top 5 worst texter in the world because I bother everyone with my existence as it is. I'd rather go home and just hang out with my 4 cats and go on my show. But the thing is, back to is why are you running away from me? I was in England, told people for myself I was going to be in England, and you've been in England. No, he decided to go his own little way.
He did mention that you went to England. He wasn't sure how the food was treating you over there. So now I'm just going to ask how the food treated you over there.
I love England. England is a beautiful country. Yeah.
Nothing about the food. You didn't get any fish and chips? That's all I know about it.
I got a lot of chips over there. I won't lie.
Tea and crumpets?
I had a little bit of tea, yeah.
Stereotyping England.
A lot of daily drinking over there, which is I'm all for. I'm not a big drinker personally. Like I can put down like a vodka Red Bull every now and then, but like they had like a 2 p.m. Football game, and I'm telling you, these guys there's like probably like 400 people just sloshed in the middle of Manchester, and I was like, this is a good experience. Like I'm a people watcher, so like I'm like, all right, like hell yeah, like you're living your best life. You don't give a shit that there's a dumb redneck American walking around just like admiring how drunk everybody is. It was a good time.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jensen. I thought you had something.
I'm not interesting anymore, Jeremy. Like, I'm used goods.
No, I want to know about your trip to the UK. I want to know about your trip to the UK. I watched your match with Clint Margera. Thought it was good stuff. I thought that the fans, like, they warmed up to you throughout the match. It's good seeing you over there. How was your experience in the UK? You had like a handful of matches over there, man.
Really enjoyed my trip to the UK. I got to wrestle guys like DeReese. I got to see wrestle guys like Leon Slater, guys like Flash Morgan Webster, obviously, guys like Clint. Like I got to wrestle, and I consider a guy like Clint one of my best friends. We were actually got to hang out for like 2 or 3 days while we were over there. And I told him, I was like, dude, it's like, how sick is it? Like in real life without, pro wrestling, like we would have never met. Like maybe had to talk on like a hardcore music forum at least once or whatever. But like without that, like we would have never met. And I got to wrestle him and then hang out with him and his cat and his girlfriend in England. Like I was like, this is sick, bro. You know, getting to wrestle guys like Flash Morgan Webster at Wrestle Carnival, which is a sick environment, sick production, sick company. You know, had a great time. Same thing I could say for Soft Pro. You know what I mean? I got to wrestle, man, like the recent Soft Pro. Awesome crowd. Shoddy Horror is fucking awesome dude, awesome promoter, legendary battle rapper. Just saying, New Jersey Twerk, you got to get that work soon. Let's go. A battle was supposed to happen yesterday or 2 days ago, and I guess shit happened. But Shoddy Horror is my boy. I'm looking forward to that. Man, I had a great experience. You know, I love wrestling in England. I love the crowds. Like the crowds over there are so into everything. They have like the football style chants, and like you said, you know, some places I went to, they didn't really know who I was or what, you know.
Well, that's kind of what I wanted to get at a little bit, because like you're obviously like you've gotten really big here in the States, like you're everywhere, and like obviously a major part of GCW, but like you're the kind of guy that I give you a lot of credit as far as every time I've ever seen you go somewhere, even if they don't know you, by the end of the match, like they're behind you. Like you always prove yourself like very quickly everywhere you go, and I think you deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, and I mean, and I really appreciate that. I just try to go to each show and treat it like it's somebody's first time seeing me. And, you know, obviously I go to GCW, I work for GCW a lot. Like you say, I'm a mainstay for GCW. And there are members of the crowd that I know that have known me, you know, ever since, you know, I first wrestled in their town. But like, if you treat each match like it's somebody's first time seeing you, like you're not going to half-ass it. And I hope that's what carries on, you know, through watching my wrestling is like, I'm fully invested. Like I love pro wrestling. It is who I am. Like whenever I die, you're going to talk about my life as a pro wrestler. And if I can put that passion on a pedestal and get you to see that throughout, you know, how I treat a match or how I interact with the crowd or how I interact with somebody at a merch table or in a passing interaction, like it's only going to make the experience better. And that's what I try to do, is just be as entertaining as they can be while being as real as to who I am as a person.
And I will vouch for Cole on that. Just one, you were the reason I went to my first GCW event earlier this year. Yeah, that was my first GCW event, and I only went to see you. And so I was there. I took my mark photo with you that I'm sure people for some reason got upset. The best part, which is when we're all hanging out afterwards, and the Cease twins were there, and we're like, "Can we get a picture?" Yeah, and we had you take the picture of us, and you're like, what are we doing here? Why am I taking this photo of you guys? But I want to put you over for being very personable. Like during the show, you were coming out talking to people. Of course, after the show, hanging out, doing that whole thing. You wrestled Matt Cardona that night as well, which was a really fun match and a really good performance. Like,
what is real life, right?
What's that?
I said, what's real life, bro? I got wrestling Matt Cardona. I had told him, or I had told somebody, probably Effie, honestly, like in 8th grade, like whenever I was on like the wrestling team, I would always listen to like Radio as like my hype up song before I went out and wrestled. And then I had like a moment like right before I wrestled him. I was like, yeah, there ain't no way you could ever tell me like at that time in my life that, oh yeah, like don't worry, like in 12, 13 years, you're going to wrestle this dude. It's going to be crazy fun. Good luck. See you there. Like, that was such a cool experience. And yeah, like I remember us getting to meet, and I just remember, I don't know. I always feel like I mess up like first impressions, and I was like, oh, this dude's sick. Like you're hella cool. You're a very good person.
Oh, these are the all the drugs talking right now.
Looking around.
The Tylenol.
I said me waking up from a nap an hour ago.
Yeah. That's honestly big same. So like I just said, well, you got to have that pre-Thanksgiving nap, everybody.
Yes.
I told you I wanted to go to the show to see you, to watch this, just take in my first GCW show. But like, you were the reason I legitimately wanted to go there, is because we've talked online plenty. And I was like, I want to go see and actually meet Cole and just check out the show and stuff. So I was really excited to finally meet you again. If you see Cole at a show, go say hi. I assume most of the fans
Easiest
are nice
person to talk to, promise.
Yeah, I missed you in Atlanta, man. We were just talking about that a little bit before we started recording.
I know I'm a son of a bitch, bro. I'm sorry.
You had to go to the UK. You just had to go. No, man, I'm happy.
I had to go over there and get some walkers and pom poms.
Yeah, you missed a banger of a show here at Center Stage, but we missed you, dude. We were talking about you.
The backstage fight.
Yeah,
might be like my favorite thing I've ever seen.
Really?
Like Jimmy's in the bathroom, Manson stuff are making out on the couch. Yeah. Half the people in the locker room are just really confused. It is perfect.
Yes.
That is, I want more of that. You know what I mean? That's the shit's so sick.
Yes. Yeah, that was a really fun show. Something I wanted to ask you about that is kind of random, but like I didn't want to forget to ask you. And it's because like, so when you wrestled like Clint Margera, for instance, you did the Ultraviolent Death Match where it was for the Ultraviolent Championship and y'all did a bunch of tacks and weapons and stuff. And you wore just like black jeans for that match. And you change your gear up a lot. Like sometimes you do like traditional kind of wrestling gear. Sometimes you do what I call kind of like the Jinkos, like the big boy kind of long boys.
Yeah.
What like how do you like decide, because you're so, it varies so much, like, you know, like how do you choose what you're gonna wear and like wear like to promotion and stuff?
So the Jinko jeans you're talking about, they're called UFO pants.
Yeah, that's
so I only personally know of one website that sells them, and now I'm starting to find whenever I go to certain sizes and colors, they are now out of order. Or they're out of stock. So I haven't been able to order a new pair. I have one current pair that has been used a couple of times and it's pretty worn and torn. Knowing I wasn't going to do glass or anything like that, the jeans were fine. I'll get taxed on my ass, but you know, a pair of black jeans were just fine. And but usually it's the normal gear. Or it is like if it's, I know it's a death match, I usually wear the UFO pants, but I just didn't have the stock in it. Like I used to wear like MMA board shorts, like basketball shorts essentially, and I used to wear those in death matches. And then I found the website for the pants, and I was like, all right, we're here, baby.
Gotcha. I mean, you used to wear a singlet too and stuff. I mean, you've gone through the whole.
Oh yeah, I used to wear the singlet with like the long tights. So it started with the Butcher, which is like the Sam McCallahan cut singlet. Then it switched to tights. Then it switched to tights with like long pants, or a singlet with long pants. Then it switched to a one strap giant singlet because I realized I was 6 feet tall. And then it just kind of went back to the singlet, and then now to the current look. So I just kind of go with like how my body feels, and I try to stay, because I don't know if I've found like the perfect look for myself yet. So you always just try to evolve.
Yeah. It's so I like how you change it up. I will say I personally am a big fan of the UFO pants. I think that those like really make you stand out, and like no one else really wears those. And it kind of does remind me of like the late 90s and stuff. Like I feel like it fits the ratty daddy vibe really well. So just for whatever it's worth.
I noted, very much noted.
I have to ask because it's the show, and I've bullied you into this. The second annual Schmitty is announced. Yes. You've teased it. You just said 2024.
Confirmed.
Get any more details? And when you do get the details, obviously send them to me. But can you let us know where it's at? Or can you I don't care about anybody else, but can you let me know? I'm making the towns here, Cole.
It'll be a little south central Indiana. Okay. So south of Indianapolis, but above. It's either going to be in Bloomington or Spencer, Indiana.
Okay.
It is going to have more details soon. I'm waiting for one specific message back, and that will begin the process of getting all the details finalized. So once I get a date confirmed, we will be rocking and rolling.
All right, I'm about 5.5 hours from Bloomington. Easy. Again, I'm going to WrestleCade this weekend. That's in North Carolina.
But are you going to that?
What?
Your
show?
Yeah, the Smitty.
Of course.
So Steve, you're coming then.
Wait, how far away is this from Atlanta?
Oh, from Atlanta? I don't know. Let's
what's the drive?
7 hours. I don't know, 6 hours, 7 hours.
Fascinating radio here as we look up flights. 7 hours and 46 minutes. That's Bloomington.
It was mine.
And then you guys split a hotel room. We have a great night.
True. Man, I would love to.
There's nice scenery in the college town of Bloomington, Indiana.
Yes. Sounds like fun.
You know, it has a good bar, like a beautiful bar in Bloomington, Indiana, the Cade, I might add. Shout out Moose.
Oh, Barcade. Oh, I'm there.
Barcade, top tier.
There.
That's what I'm saying. Steven, you're rocking with it now.
It sounds like fun. Dude, this all sounds like fun. This does sound like a good time.
And there might be like an exclusive hotel promo code, so we can anybody showing up can stay at a really nice hotel in beautiful Bloomington. But the show might be in Spencer, which is only 25 minutes away.
Do you have a time, like a date, like March, April?
So it is very dependent on this message.
Okay.
So it would either be, I would either probably say May, early May, or September.
Well, it's a birthday present to myself right then, if it's September.
So it really depends on the message. There's a slight chance August, but that's what I'm hoping for. So those are the 3 times we're aiming for. But my main goal is May of next year.
All right. Well, again, once it all gets announced, let me know. We'll run stuff on it. But you asked me if I'm going. I'm booked on this, right, Cole? Like,
yeah, you're the backstage respondent. I mean, you and Steven could do the pre-show.
Oh, thanks.
I'm booked. I'm going out there full SpongeBob gear. I can bump over the top rope, like whatever.
Steven, I just gave $1 million idea and he just walked right over it.
Yeah.
You guys don't want to do the Fightful pre-show?
Man.
No, we could do the pre-show. I'm fine with that.
That'd be actually pretty sick. I'm looking at the graphic right now. Is this my last name's in this thing? You see this? It's like Weber,
Jensen?
Jaeger, Man, Jensen. What is this? I don't know.
What do you mean? Is SpongeBob
he was number
Jensen?
1, bro?
He was number 1.
So disrespectful to the champion.
Man, I was listen,
I need you to get educated.
Hey Arnold, and then like when SpongeBob came around, I just that was. Yeah,
I do. It's here's what I need, Cole. I will be cleanup. I'll be like SpongeBob episode with the broom where SpongeBob's cleaning up and he gets all the cheers. That's what I want. I'll be cleanup. I'm good with that. I gotta get booked somehow.
I'm telling you,
100%. I'll be there regardless.
Here's my pitch. When the Smitty happens, because we're not going to call it the full name just in case something were to happen, because I'm whatever. I don't want to get copyright stuff going. So when the Smitty happens, when they confirm it at this certain venue, it will be the best wrestling show I've ever put on. It's going to have so many good surprises. I'm pulling every friend card I have to make some cool shit happen. And I think you and Steven?
Yeah.
Steven. Sorry, you earlier got me messed up. I think you guys should both pull up to it. I know you said you were going to.
We gotta make this happen. I'm there, 100%. No questions asked.
Come
Unless something catastrophic happens. I got children.
And then imagine how many interviews with people at the show you could do.
See, I don't want to work. I just want to have fun.
Every time I've ever seen Steven, I've done an interview.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's not a complaint. That is not a complaint. Don't get emotional. I tell you guys all the time. I'm the first person you guys should call if you have a spot open. love talking to my boys.
The
But
last time I saw you, I interviewed you and like 5 other people at the same time. That was fun.
Y'all had just an interview rotation, just pass the phone around.
Yeah, that was fun.
Oh, Jensen always, I appreciate, because Jensen will do the interviews and then send them to me, and then I have the team cover it and stuff. I like to go to these shows. I don't want to do anywhere. I'm going to WrestleCade this weekend. I don't feel like
I'll
working.
see you there.
Are you going to WrestleCade?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay.
I'm home, baby boy.
Oh, I didn't realize you were going to be
I'm
at
home.
WrestleCade.
I'm
That's fine.
going home to GCW, baby. What you talk about, Willis?
All right, good. I'll get there on Friday. I'll be there on Friday, so I'll be there all weekend.
Yeah, I think that's what time. I think we're leaving later on Thursday, so I should get there Friday.
Okay, yeah. I know GCW is Friday night. Well, I asked about BLP because I know you're booked there often, and I'll be at BLP next week. I didn't realize you're already booked for Wrestle. Hell yeah, that makes me even more excited.
Yeah, so you don't have to wait till next week to see me see Friday.
Well, that's good. Good. I'm glad I'll get to see you this weekend then.
Let's go. Sorry, I have
time.
a cat freaking out over here.
Have you done a WrestleCade yet, Cole? Have you been there?
Not WrestleCade. I've worked for AML. Great company, great people. Like, cannot say enough good things about them. I've wrestled for AML. I haven't done a WrestleCade, and but I've wrestled in North Carolina a couple times. So
WrestleCade
love it.
This year, it feels bigger than ever because they got the GCW stuff this year, which, that's the first year they're doing that. They always have like the little super show and everything. And like, it's always been a few current people and then a couple like indie people, but largely like kind of bigger names from the past is what WrestleCade has always been. And this year with like, it's become its own like independent stuff as well with GCW. So I'm very excited since we interview a lot of independent wrestlers. So I'm really excited that GCW is going to be there. And
it's a sick show lined up that they have already. So yeah, I'm really excited for it. Like I said, like you said, it's my first one. And man, I love wrestling. Like it's my favorite thing in the entire world. So just to go and experience so many like cool things that there's going to have, like things people are selling, people that are there, like at WrestleCon this year, Mania year. You know who I got? The one person I took a photo with, because I'm a mark.
Who is that?
Butterbean.
Oh,
bro. And you know who made me take the photo? Effie. I was like, Effie. I was like, man, I really want to go get this photo of Butterbean. I was like, Eric Ash is like, I used to watch he's the king of 4-rounders. So he was a super heavyweight, and a lot of his fights were 4-round fights, and he would just end up knocking dudes into the dirt in like the second, third rounds, whatever. So I grew up on watching this dude. And then I realized, oh, he's in the Jackass movie. So when I saw him, I was like, I got to get this photo with Butterbean, but I'm not going to do it. Like, I don't even have my wallet on me. It's $40, like whatever. And Effie's like, I'm going to like make you go do it if I had to buy this damn photo. And I was like, I have the money in my wallet. I'm just like, it's fine. And Effie like grabs me by the hand and leads me and goes, hey, Mr. Butterbean, will you take a photo of my shy thing? And I was like, I just don't want to bother the dude. You know what I mean? Like, I'm sure like he's been working all day, and like dude could not have been like the nicest human, even a more nicer human being. Like, so super happy, was like talkative, and I was like, bro, like blood sport one time. Let's go. Just Johnny Knoxville me for the people.
He wouldn't know how to pull his punch though, Cole. That's
one concussion. I would take the Johnny Knoxville.
He wants it.
That's a clean concussion.
Imagine Brett Lauderdale coming up to me. Cole, are you okay? My response is Butterbean okay?
Yes. Classic.
I'm just throwing it out there.
Well, you got a photo with Pat McAfee, which I know that was bucket list for you. We've talked about that before. Tell us about that.
Oh, nice. Very cool. Signed mini helmet.
So growing up as a Colts fan, my favorite player was not Peyton Manning, was not Marvin, was not Reggie, was not all the guys. It was Pat McAfee. Because he always did like the taunts or like the golf celebrations, or he did the Razor's Edge, or the Vince strut. And I was like, this dude's hilarious. And, you know, I played football when I was in like 3rd grade, but I never got into it, never understood it. Like 5 years ago, you put a gun to my head and tell me like, name what a linebacker does. Or if it's offense or defense, couldn't tell you. So COVID happened and I was working at this bullshit factory job and I ended up listening to a lot of Pat McAfee. And he has like his whole show and has his whole cast and crew, and ended up just really enjoying the show, enjoying all the characters and like the bits and like all like the progression he does. And yeah, ended up becoming like a dumb mark for him, whatever. And so I went to the College Game Day show up in Notre Dame. Dude, like hung out, took photos with everybody. So I got my mini helmet signed, and my girlfriend printed the photo that we took before I got home. So it was already in a frame and everything. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
you
a
willed
good
that willed that into existence. Like
yeah, and
you
know what's crazy is drop, right? The elbow drop, I'm on the table, whatever. On the podcast right now, they're talking about it. Mackie podcast. And I was like, it's cool. He has no idea that he met a guy that was on the video.
Oh my god, we have to. He still
we
right
should
now
like
has no
tag
idea.
McAfee.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should tag McAfee.
to-
Be like, you know, you like took a photo with this person.
You guys could do it. I'll be completely fine with that. But
I'll do it.
I
Yeah.
don't need the attention.
Yeah, we will do everything we can to bring attention to this.
We'll make this happen. We'll see.
I'm not rooting this on.
Book.
I'm not rooting this on.
Everyone spam Pat McAfee. Everyone who watches this, make sure to @ Pat McAfee and let them know. No, listen. I think it's awesome that you got to meet him, because like I can't remember who I was literally like tweeting with someone. It was like Mouse or someone or other, like about you about you meeting, specifically about you like wanting to meet Pat McAfee. And then like within a couple of weeks, that picture popped up, and you had talked about that with us previously, and him being in the world of wrestling too. Like that's just so crazy how he wound up being so good at it and like so involved in it too, as like a commentator and in the ring.
Dude, the guy rules. And it's like, he could have got into wrestling and just like half-assed it, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like he actually like gives a fuck the same way, you know, Logan Paul gives a fuck, and you can tell, or the way Bad Bunny gives a fuck, and you can tell. Like, how can you not appreciate like a good work ethic? And that's something I've been working on, is my own personal work ethic. So like finding inspirations through different forms of people or different projects, I think is kind of beneficial. And again, the guy fucking rules.
Yes.
Boss Connor's a stooge.
Boston Connor. I love Ty. I like a lot on that.
Did
show.
you see that Ty sharded on the show?
I was watching it live. Yes, I was watching it live yesterday. Yeah.
So my girlfriend hates it because she works nights, and like sometimes she'll hear the TV on low, and she's like, "What are they talking about?" And I'm like, "I'll tell her." She's like, "Okay, I don't care." And goes to sleep. I'm like, "All right, sick."
You were just talking about like, you know, work ethic and inspiration, people around you and stuff. Someone that I wanted to ask you about is one of your new tag team partners in GCW, Alec Price. Yeah, man, the Goblin
love that
Daddies.
fucking guy, bro.
I love you guys as a tag team. I think it works great. I never would have like thought of the two of you as a tag team, but like since it's been happening, I've loved it. What's it been like teaming with the current IWTV champion, Alec Price, in GCW so often recently?
Bro, that's my fucking boy, dude. Like, but so, I mean, it's kind of the same thing with Clint, where it's like, this is Boston, Massachusetts brother who talks like a basta, and he's going to talk about the market and all these other things. And when the first time I met him, I was like, oh, like this is my like one of my best friends now. Like we're goofing off, we're laughing, and then we wrestled like once or twice. And there's this weird thing when like you wrestle somebody for the first time, and you're like, oh, like we're on the same page. Like we're on the same rhythm, and it's like whenever we wrestle, like it's going to be a lot of fun. And so then when you put that in a tag team aspect, like where I think I have a lot of weaknesses, Alec is fucking awesome, and I don't think Alec has a lot of weaknesses, but I try to help be as beneficial or as helpful to the match as I possibly can. And I think the combination of that, the combination of us, neither one of us being selfish, where like we both at the end of the day are like, what's the best match we can possibly put out in this moment? All right, sick, let's do that. Like it's never like me. Honestly, again, you can look at all my matches, and if you ever be like, oh, Cole was like, I need to do something right here in this moment, like in this and this and this, it doesn't happen. Like I will whoop your ass with one move. I don't need three. You know what I mean?
How did that come together? Like you guys teaming to begin with?
I think it was just the artist formerly known as the Bang Brothers needed to have a tag team to face in Chicago, and we were put together once, and it just gelled so well that we ended up doing it a couple more times, and now we faced East West, we faced Bussy, Macisos. I believe we may have done a multi-man with Violence is Forever, but I could be very much wrong in that as well. So,
one other follow-up I had about that was you mentioned East West. You guys were actually the last match for East West before they kind of like disbanded for Nick Wayne to go full time with AEW. What was it like? I guess to be the team, because I mean that was a big deal considering how successful Jordan and Nick were as a team for GCW. That y'all were their last match, and then also kind of what it's like seeing the progression of Jordan as like the JCW champion and how great he's doing, and also what Nick Wayne, of course, is doing in AEW.
Yeah, man. It's also like it's one of those things where it's like I grew really close to Nick Wayne and I grew really close to Jordan, and all four of us were like close personal friends. We all love one another. We all think the world of each other. And to me, it was like the day we had a match the day before, but like walking in that day, it just felt like, it just felt heavy in the way of where it's like the importance of it. Like to me, it was important. I get to wrestle three of my best friends in the world. We're all from different walks of life. And it's like, we get to wrestle for one of our favorite promotions, and, if we just didn't want to fuck up. And it's like, man, like seeing what Nick Wayne is doing, like the next time I saw Nick Wayne, I was like, dude, you took a spear from fucking Edge, bro. I was like, I don't know if you like understand how crazy that is to me, but you took a fucking spear from Edge. Okay. And then seeing Jordan, just his work rate and his drive and his passion to get better, and seeing Alec Price get the IWTV championship and being recognized as like pound for pound one of the best independent pro wrestlers going, like to me, that's honestly like my favorite thing in all of this is like when one wins, we all win. Like that's my favorite saying. Like I've already outkicked my coverage as my own personal human being in this world of wrestling. Like, I've got to travel multiple countries, multiple times, wrestled for the top independent. So now it's like, I'm taking in the enjoyment of seeing all my friends win, like seeing guys like Brain Tune get recognized for like working his ass off, you know what I mean? And not bitching about anything and just grinding. Like to me right now, like that's my win and stuff like that. So it's, man, you just learn to appreciate the smallest of things because wrestling can drive you crazy. Like we all know it. We've all ran into the ones that are, they're already gone mad with it. Just enjoy it, man.
Last time I spoke to you, Cole, it was after the AEW stuff, and we spoke about that, and you said very similar things of just like, if it ended now, like I'd be good. Like I accomplished so much. I got to wrestle for ROH. Like who would have thought that was going to happen, type of thing. But then I don't know if you know about all of this, but later on that day, Jensen and I spoke to Matt Brannigan, and we talked to him about everything that went on at those tapings, and he gave us some behind the scenes details.
Right.
And there's a very particular detail we must talk about, and that is the corn that you did not eat,
bro,
at catering.
Yes, thank you for remembering that, Jeremy. I completely forgot about that story. Yes.
He said you were eyeing the corn all night, and you just never went for it. And then by the time you were ready to go for it, there was no
Right.
more corn.
I'm respectful of other people's spaces, man. Like, if you've ever seen me in real life, like, the last thing I will ever want to do is just fuck up somebody's vibe or whatever. And, like, I don't know. It was like the first serving of food they put out or whatever. So everybody was like, everybody that signed and, all that is in there doing their business. So, like, Begging is like, I'm just going to go grab something. Like, I don't care. And I was like, all right, like, whatever. Like, I'm not hungry. I literally just ate before I got here because I know I'm going to be here for a while. And then I ate up the corn the next time we passed by, and I was like, maybe there's a lot of people in there. They're for sure on the show. So, like, let them eat first. Be respectful. And then they switched up the food, and they never had corn again. But I will say, I think I put down 2 bags of Cheetos cheese puffs. So I feel like that's a respectable amount, and about a water. So, professional athlete. Thank you.
Brannigan was saying he was just taking everything. Like, he just had pockets full of cookies.
I'm pretty
whatever
sure
was
he's
there.
brought a sack with him and like left with stuff. Yeah.
Listen, he had a couple meals for that now and later.
Everybody
I'm not narking on the guy here, guys. I'm sorry. Like, this sounds like an investigation. Your friend definitely had a lot of food leaving a place that where you might get one day contracted in 5 to 20 years. Whenever I learned to actually wrestle, whatever.
Every independent
Brannigan
wrestler
was not a hungry man when he left the
every wrestler we've talked to has always just said, like, yeah, we go there, we know there's catering, and everybody just kind of like knows, like, yeah, we don't eat like this elsewhere, so we're gonna try to eat well. And everyone seems to just get that, because a lot of these guys obviously came up on the independents as well and knows that, yeah, I'm sure the AEW catering is better than whatever is provided elsewhere. So it seems like there's almost an unspoken thing of, it's cool, take what you need. Like, we know that this doesn't come around often, so go for it. So for next time, I'm just like, just go for it. Get the corn, Cole.
I'll get the goddamn corn.
Well, has there ever been catering at a GCW event? Like, you never think of a time that everybody just like collectively, because it's funny because y'all will like at center.
I want to say
break.
yes.
Okay.
I think at least once. I couldn't tell you time or place, but I have like faint memories, and I can't put it together.
I'm gonna give you some advice for this weekend, Cole. There's gonna be a boat. Do you know the Bojangles man? All Bojangles gimmicked. You know Bojangles. You know the restaurant, Chicken Biscuits.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a guy dresses up in all Bojangles, got like a Bojangle championship and stuff. He's passing out chicken biscuits the entire time. Go get yourself one. Like, just free Bojangles chicken biscuit. I am not afraid to be like, let me hook a brother up, and he's not afraid to pass them out. So free food's free food, man. Well,
how much is a chicken biscuit on a black market? Like, if I were to sell it like on the street, what's the profit I could get off of it? Because I don't eat chicken biscuits.
$3.50.
Really? Okay.
I think I could sell it to Effie for $4.
Yeah. You could sell it to me. I would definitely buy one. That's the one thing I miss being in Ohio is Bojangles. We have one now, but it's like 20 minutes away, and that's a long drive for me. And it's not the authentic like North Carolina Bojangles. So that's what I'm excited about this weekend.
So I love Bojangles. Don't get me wrong, but I'm a Popeyes guy.
I'm not mad at Popeyes, but look, Bojangles is Bojangles.
I mean, they're both good, but love Popeyes. Cookout though.
Oh yes, okay. There's the agreement.
I'll go Cookout over both of those all day.
I'm definitely looking forward to this weekend too.
Moe's KOBK Moe's put me on Cane's as well.
Yeah. Okay. Shout out Moe's.
It wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
All right. I think I like it better than the others. I'm not really. I mean, I'm like a big Chick-fil-A person. But that's a little bit different. Like, it's a kind of different type of chicken.
That's
I feel
sellout
like.
food.
Yeah.
Boo this man with Chick-fil-A.
Sellout food. What's that sellout food?
I'm
Georgia,
with
dude.
him,
Everybody's Chick-fil-A.
honestly.
Yeah.
Boo Chick-fil-A.
Yeah. Zaxby's. I like Zaxby's.
Okay. All right.
That's
only got
Statesboro,
Wawa,
Georgia.
KC's, or Sheets. What are we taking?
I don't know if I've been to them. I don't have an opinion.
None of the gas station foods?
I'm only familiar with
Sheets.
Sheets. That's the only food I've had is Sheets.
Oh,
I've not had
never
any
mind
of the
then,
other stuff.
Never
Yeah.
mind.
Quick
Never
Trip's
mind.
good in the South. I don't know. It's not as it's a little bit different, I think. I don't know.
What are you having for Thanksgiving, Cole? What's a Cole Radrick thing? This is technically
Potatoes
Thanksgiving.
and corn.
There you go.
You fix it?
I'll mix it. I'm gonna be half and half.
Oh, yeah. I guess there's the moment.
Okay. Well, I saw them talk about it on the Mac show, Cole. It's going to be pretty contentious. Are you mashed potatoes or stuffing? If
Mashed
you had to choose
potatoes.
one. I'm mashed potatoes also.
Mashed potatoes. Sorry.
I do like a good stuffing though.
Me too. I pour gravy on everything though, so like it all winds up kind of like becoming one like gravy bowl. That's kind of where KFC comes in. Famous bowl. I kind
That's
of
what I'm saying. Yeah, they get all the whole
Yeah.
mixed up stuff there.
Do they still do the double down? I haven't gone to any of these places in so long. Was the double down was the one that was like the double chicken patties, but like
Now I'm just hungry.
actually a health risk.
Yeah, I haven't ate dinner yet.
Yeah, me either.
I mean, we have to ref. So
I mean,
we
do
got
have
to
to
wrap
wrap.
in a second, anyways. I'm trying to think. Is there anything we needed to ask Cole that was like actually important before we get out of here?
I'm not an important person. So
any real wrestling questions that we have for Cole, one of the
No.
top independent wrestling stars in the game right now?
I don't know about all that, but
I didn't ask a single serious question on this interview.
we never ask serious questions, Jeremy. We're on the same page.
Can you punch Ricky Morton for me this weekend?
No, but I could punch his kid.
Okay, I'll take that.
Terry.
Can you, like, when you punch him, can you be like, "This is for Jeremy," and then punch him?
Jeremy, what?
Yeah,
I got a big pop for me. This is
No,
from
because
Jeremy.
There's this. I'll tell the story real quick. Sean tells it all the time. WrestleCade a couple years ago, Ricky comes over. I'm hanging out with Sean.
Does he steal your lunch money?
No. Worse, he just buried me. So he comes over and he's like, "Sean, what's up? Why don't you answer my DMs and stuff?" And then Sean's like, "Oh, sorry, I don't like check that and everything." And then so they're talking a little bit, and then Sean's like, "Oh, let me introduce you to Jeremy. He's our lead writer." And Ricky's like, "Oh, nice to meet you. Let me tell you, nobody gives a fuck." And he just buries me right there. And I'm like, what do I say to Ricky Morton, like legend in North Carolina? We're in North Carolina. What am I supposed to say? So I've asked Effie to punch him because Effie's wrestling him tomorrow.
Yeah, I know. I'm excited to see that.
And now if you can punch him or his kid, this is long-term storytelling right here, folks. Please do. Thank you. I saw you wanted to punch him. I saw that on Twitter. Like, you wanted to punch him.
Yeah, I told Brett, just give me one punch. Whatever. Do the world a favor.
But I need to shout out beforehand. Be like, yeah, this is for Jeremy. Boom.
Lord help us.
If I see anybody yell, "This is for Jeremy" in any wrestling match throughout WrestleCade, I'm gonna lose it.
You know what? If you watch the GCW stream on Friday during the Effie match, if he's in there with Ricky Morton, I'll just yell it myself right before Effie. Just
do one for Jeremy.
You've tracked down MLJ. He might be able to yell it on the microphone for you.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be at Sean's match against Jeez, can't speak. I'm gonna be at Sean's match against Shaza and yelling a bunch of stuff. So,
will you record his entrance so you can see and let everybody else experience what a just loud, eruptive audience he gets every time he walks through a curtain?
I'm gonna start. You know, like when big matches.
He should come out to "Lose Yourself" by Eminem. That's just
I know what he's coming out to. By the way, I do know his entrance song. I'll tell you off air. You know, before big matches, they do like the "Holy shit" chant before like the bell rings. I'm gonna start that chant before Sean and Shaza. As
soon as they ring the bell for the match to start, just go fight forever.
Yeah, I like that. Cole, let everybody know where they can find you at.
Right up there at Cole Radrick. That's Twitter and Instagram. Easy man, easy life, easy plan. Also on Twitch at Ready Daddy for ever. That's number 4 ever. And you will be able to see me at GCW this weekend at WrestleCade. Get to see Jeremy. And we'll see Stephen and Jeremy at the second annual Smitty Werber Jiggerman Jensen Memorial Tournament.
That's right. I'll see you this weekend. I look forward to it. Thank you, as always. Very generous with your time. We accomplished nothing with this interview, but hopefully people enjoy it.
Not once, not ever.
Hey, surprisingly, throughout that, we did get some good quotes about your new tag team, about some stuff you did over in the UK. We got some good stuff out of that, man. And we appreciate you and your time, dude. We really do. You're one of our favorites. You're somebody who I've been watching for a long time, man. You know it. I've been tweeting about you for years. So
and been shitting on me for years. So
yeah.
Thank you, Cole.
Anytime, guys. Appreciate you.
Guys, we'll be right back here on the. We're back. Jensen's back. You disappeared for.
Yeah. Oh, can you hear me? Sorry.
Yeah.
I actually wound up watching the interview. My brother is about to be here, but at the time it was kind of perfect. Like I wound up watching our interview with Cole just now on my big screen here. I got a Black Friday 75-inch television. I think I've bragged about that before on this show. I can't get enough of it. I'm very, very proud of this television. So I watched us on a very large screen. And my brother isn't here yet. So I figured I'd jump back on with you for a couple of minutes and wish everybody well wishes on the way out and happy Thanksgiving again. Anything else you wanted to say before we wrap the show up?
No, I was just going to kind of plug stuff. The kids are always fascinated when I do the interview and then, it's pre-recorded and everything. And then I walk out and then I'm in person. They're like, how are you on the TV, but also here? They're always very fascinated with that. Like they know I do the interview like the night before, 2 nights before, like they know this, but then they're still fascinated.
No, honestly, like I understand that because I used to not understand when I was younger. I didn't understand the idea of like pre-recorded and stuff when I watched television. I used to get so confused by that kind of stuff. So I'm with him. And also, I don't know if you know this, but the EP DM'd me during our show and mentioned that you guys do have your work cut out for you a little bit as far as making sure that everybody gets what they want for Thanksgiving. So you were underselling yourself a little bit. It sounds like everybody's got their own stuff that they like for Thanksgiving. So good luck with all of that.
When you got 12 kids, everybody has different taste buds and everything. She's again the true hero of Thanksgiving because she's doing all the hard work. I'm doing this silly show and talking about professional wrestling while she's doing the actual work right now. So very thankful for my wife and the children. So I'll throw that out there. And I'm very thankful for everybody that's tuned in to this show today. And then over the years, very thankful for everyone that supports everything we do here at Fightful. Without you guys and the support, we would not be able to do any of this. So thank you guys for hanging out with us for 3 hours. What a show. For hanging out with us this morning. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving. You know where to find everything. I'm not going to do a bunch of plugs and everything. Just again, thank you guys. We appreciate it. We will be back next Thursday. New episode, talking the world of professional wrestling. Thank you as always to Stephen Jensen. Thank you everyone in the chat. Thank you everyone who supports. Have a happy Thanksgiving, everyone. We'll catch y'all next week.
Happy Thanksgiving.